Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Great Voyage. Lord Madara crushed celestial dragons to death with one hand. Chapter 21. However, this kind of scene not only did not make Bai Han feel intimidated. Instead, the blood in his body seemed to be boiling. Ha ha ha, this is what fighting is like. Let me dance to my heart's content. The expression on Bai Han's face lived up to the indifference before, his whole face was filled with excitement. At the same time, the third-generation Kitaru and Yukino in their hands directly turned into two moon discs, continuously harvesting the lives of the pirates that came from around them. Under the blessing of Uchiha-style swordsmanship, Bai Han's swordsmanship is extremely terrifying. Uchiha-style swordsmanship originated from the Hokage Sengoku period, which was also the most chaotic period in Hokage. It is a swordsmanship created purely for killing by the Uchiha family through continuous fighting with the enemy. Every move and every style is for the purpose of beheading the enemy. Therefore, swordsmanship is extremely fierce. Coupled with Sharingan's powerful insight, the enemy seems to have bumped into Bai Han's blade on his own initiative. And, the higher the level that comes with the Sharingan, the power of Uchiha-style swordsmanship will also be even more terrifying. As an A-level swordsmanship, the power of Uchiha-style swordsmanship is even strong enough to display impressive power in cage-level battles. In the hands of Uchiha Madara, this swordsmanship is even more superb, completely integrated into Uchiha Madara's instinct. All kinds of weapons are also at hand in the hands of Uchiha Madara, which can exert good lethality. The current Bai Han is naturally inferior to Uchiha Madara. But the pirates of the Creek pirates around them were also not the opponents Madara faced at that time. The blood flowers bloomed continuously, and Bai Han was like a dancer, dancing among the pirates. The two famous swords of third-generation Onitaro and Yukinashiro are like Shinigami sickles in the hands of Bai Han, frantically harvesting the lives of every pirate who passes by. Moreover, because third-generation Onitaro and Yukinoku are both famous knives of the Ryokui knife 50 craftsmanship level. In many cases, Bai Han even only needs to cut directly, and he can directly cut off the enemy's weapon in front of him, including the opponent's body hidden behind the weapon. At this moment, the deck of the Creek pirates has completely become a stage for Bai Han to perform the art of killing. In the distance, Nami, who was watching this scene with a telescope, was completely stunned. It's so beautiful. Killing people can be so pleasing to the eye. Nami wondered if he had become a pervert. It is obvious that Bai Han is doing a killing act at this moment, massacring the pirates of the Creek pirates. But she actually finds it full of beauty. It's not the first time she's seen killing people. Whether it was pirates massacring civilians, or marines killing pirates, she had seen them countless times during the years of wandering the sea. However, it was the first time she saw someone who could kill someone so beautifully. Perhaps such a person can really do what the newspapers say, and maybe end the era of great pirates created by One Piece King Roger. And I also think that Bai Han's murder is very pleasing to the eye, and in fact there are Crick and others. However, Crick's face was very ugly. Because, at this moment, Bai Han is killing his subordinates. Seeing his subordinates being massacred like chopping vegetables and melons by Bai Han, how could Crick be in a good mood? Doesn't this mean that all the pirates under him are just a bunch of trash? However, the strength displayed by Bai Han also made Crick fear endlessly. Without exhausting Bai Han's physical strength to a certain extent, he would not dare to fight this monster. After all, even he couldn't split a bullet with a knife. This seems to be something that only the peak swordsman who is said to want to break through the swordsman in Vice Admiral can do it. Captain, why don't you let me go up and try? The ghost Jin looked at the slaughtered pirates with a bit of unbearable eyes. Many of these pirates were brought up by him, and he was really reluctant to watch East Blue Shira massacre like this. Although he knew his own strength would go up, he might not be able to play against East Blue Shira. However, that is better than watching from the sidelines now. HMPH, what are you doing up there? Are you going to die? You have to know that since we have embarked on this road, we must be prepared to hang our heads on our waists. Their deaths are just paving the way for our victory. Crick glanced at Jin and sneered. The captain of his own always held a ridiculous sympathy in his heart. Even when they massacred villages and towns in the past, the other party always refused to do so. If it weren't for the fact that the opponent was strong enough and obedient, he would have killed this guy long ago. This is. Ajin glanced at the seriousness in Crick's eyes, but gave up the idea of continuing to persuade. For him, Crick has the grace of saving his life. Therefore, he must obey the other party's orders. It seems that I can only avenge you later. Ajin glanced at Bai Han, who was killing wildly in the crowd, and murmured in a voice only he could hear. As the battle continued, more and more Creek pirates were killed by Bai Han. The blood flowed directly into the sea along the side of the boat, dyeing the sea a blood-red color. In the surrounding sea, there are already a lot of hungry and ferocious fish, waiting for a gluttonous feast. And there are 5 or 6 pirate ships that have been piled up with corpses and were forced to be abandoned by Bai Han. Just in the past 3 hours, the number of pirates killed by Bai Han exceeded 2,000, and the corpses piled up directly into hills. The thick smell of blood wafting in the air made it hard to breathe. With such a high-intensity killing, the enthusiasm of the remaining pirates in the Creek Pirates, which was originally boiled because of the reward of property, was also wiped out. At this moment, the group of pirates looked at Bai Han with deep fear. The killings they have experienced are actually not insignificant. Even had conflicts with Marine many times. However, this was the first time they had seen such a terrifying killing god. Moreover, what is even more frightening is that even now, the East Blue Shira still hasn't suffered any injuries. They seriously suspected that if the East Blue Asura continued to kill, they might not be enough for the other side to kill. And holding up the binoculars to watch the fight for more than 3 hours, even Nami, who forgot to put down his arms sore, also fell into deep shock. She is said to be the most comprehensive person who watched the Bai Han fight from beginning to end. Therefore, she clearly saw every movement of Bai Han. Just relying on the 2 knives in his hand and those strange darts, Bai Han has already fought to this point. What would it be like if the power of the legendary devil fruit was used? You know, Bai Han is said to be the legendary Logia demon fruit power. So far, Bai Han has never shown the power of Logia devil fruit. Is this the power of the real strong? It's terrible. Nami murmured, holding up the binoculars. She couldn't bear to put down the binoculars at all. The battle in front of her left a deep shock in her heart. At the same time, a bit of envy rose from the bottom of her heart. If she can also master such a powerful ability, her hometown may not be powerless when encountering pirates like the evil dragon. It is said that East Blue Shira has always acted on his own, and his personality is also solitary. If I can show my value, maybe I can follow him. There was a look of anticipation in Nami's eyes. The strength of East Blue Shira is so powerful. If she can practice alongside East Blue Shira, maybe she can also become this powerful. As for how to show her own value, Nami is also very confident. With her keen sense of climate, she is a born navigator. And no matter which fleet needs an excellent navigator. Especially going to places like the Grand Line where the climate is changing, without an excellent navigator, it will be difficult to move, and may even lead to a desperate situation of death. And a strong player like Bai Han will definitely go to the Grand Line in the future. At this time, her value can be revealed. In addition, only by joining Bai Han's team can she have the confidence to let Bai Han take risks to hunt down the evil dragon gang. Bai Han, who is fighting at the moment, naturally doesn't know what Nami is thinking in the distance. After 3 hours of fighting, Bai Han's physical strength was almost consumed by more than 60%, and chakra was only left with 1/3. However, the enemy still had close to 3,000 people, which made Bai Han's heart a little dignified. I can't go on. If I drag it on, I won't be able to get rid of the 3 main forces of the Creek pirates. Bai Han nimbly dodged a pirate's sneak attack, and wiped the opponent's throat with a backhand, while secretly thinking in his heart. The strength of the 3 main forces of the Creek pirates is definitely not weak. Although their bounties are not very high, even the highest Creek has a bounty of only 17 million berry. However, Creek's various powerful equipment, the Ghost Agent's fighting ability, and the Iron Wall Baloo can make himself burn with flames, and his very hard defense is enough to cause Bai Han a lot of trouble. If his current state continues to decline a little bit, even Bai Han is not sure to face these 3 at the same time. After all, so far, Bai Han has only integrated less than 70% of the ability of the young Madara. But at this moment, the system prompt suddenly sounded. Congratulations to the increase of the host fusion degree to 70%, the total amount of chakra increased by 30%, and the rewards are Kunai x 500, Shuriken x 800, Senben x 800, Steel Wire x 50, Fire Style Dust Hidden Technique B level, Instantaneous Technique D level. Is the fusion rate at 70%? The speed of Bai Han's killing paused, and then with a flick of his hand, he smashed the bullets coming from behind. At the same time, thousands of roots appeared on the fingertips, and they were thrown behind them. Several pirates behind them fell to the ground in pain, clutching their hearts. And Bai Han also seized the opportunity, and quickly jumped onto the mast of the pirate ship, temporarily taking a short rest. At this moment, he also saw clearly the reward this time. Fire Style Dust Concealment Technique and Instant Body Technique. Good stuff. Bai Han's eyes lit up suddenly, and he said pleasantly in his heart. Needless to say, the value of the instantaneous technique, the kind of ninjutsu comparable to teleportation, can be said to be the standard configuration of Jonin and Hokage. It can appear in the distance or beside the enemy in an instant. The effect is almost equivalent to shaved in Marine 6 styles. Moreover, blinking technique is a ninjutsu with great development potential, such as Uchiha Shisui's extremely aggressive phantom body flicker technique through Sharingan. Fourth Raikage activates the physical body by casting lightning-style chakra mode, and thus casts the thunder body. Gaara's sand instant body released by sand. Even the famous flying thunder god technique. These are actually specially developed patterns for the body flicker technique. If it is well developed, body flicker technique can definitely play a huge role in future battles. As for the fire style dust hidden technique, it is also a powerful B-rank ninjutsu. This ninjutsu was even used when Uchiha Madara fought the trio of Naruto, Sasuke and Sai. The principle of this ninjutsu is to burn the surrounding objects instantly by spitting out high-temperature flames. At the same time, through the impact of the flames, the hot dust is set off and spreads around, covering the enemy's sight and causing secondary damage to the enemy. And he took the opportunity to hide his figure surrounded by smoke and dust, and carried out a sneak attack or retreat. This trick is very suitable for one-to-many situations. Moreover, with the blessing of Sharingan, the dust will not have much impact on Bai Han. In this way, I don't need to entangle with these pirates. Bai Han glanced at the pirates who were already surrounded below him, and a sneer curled up at the corner of his mouth. It has to be said that Crick's Royal Majesty still has a hand. Even though the pirates of Creek Pirates were full of fear of him, they still charged him. Bai Han even wondered if Crick had brainwashed him or ate some strange devil fruit. Even if you look at the history of the entire world in his previous life, you have never heard of a few troops that can maintain their combat effectiveness when the defeat rate is close to 50%. This will to fight is simply outrageous. It's hard to imagine that this is just the will to fight possessed by a group of pirates. Bai Han stretched out his left hand, and suddenly put two fingers together in front of him, forming a final seal. Body flicker technique. Swish. The next moment, Bai Han's speed was directly increased to the point of terror, and he disappeared in place in an instant. This scene directly made everyone feel horrified. Why did East Blue Shira suddenly disappear? Where did he go? He couldn't have escaped. Pay attention to searching his location, don't take it lightly. This guy is a monster. The pirates of the Creek Pirates, who had surrounded Bai Han below, tensed up instantly. It was really too easy for Bai Han to kill ordinary pirates like them. Whether it is the knife in the opponent's hand or the dart thrown by the opponent, it is far from what they can compete with. And once the other party disappears, then all of them are equivalent to half a foot in hell. Even the three of them, Crick and Akin, also became solemn. However, they didn't feel that Bai Han had escaped. Because, the pressure surrounding their heads has not disappeared. Their still bristling hairs were also telling them that the monster was nearby. At the same time, it was about 10 nautical miles away from the fleet of the Creek Pirates. Smoker is stopping here with Rog's marine fleet. However, at this moment, the faces of Smoker and Tashigi were also full of shock. This was the first time they saw Bai Han when he was actually in combat mode. Even Smoker would be ashamed of such an artful killing method. This is definitely a terrifying killing swordsmanship that can only be formed after countless fights. I don't know what Bai Han has experienced to be able to master such a terrifying killing sword. This swordsmanship is not simple. If you only talk about swordsmanship, I am not his opponent. Even in my marine in this issue or even in the last issue, there are not many people whose swordsmanship can match him. Smoker took a deep breath on his cigar and said in a deep voice. The same period he was talking about was the students of his group of elite marine training camps, who were the best fresh blood of marine. The students who come out from here will have at least the level of Naval Headquarters Colonel in their future achievements. Among the students of the last session of the Marine Elite Training Camp, the most famous one is now Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji. It is conceivable how high the gold content of this Marine Elite Training Camp is. Among the swordsmanship masters of these Marine Elite Training Camps, there are sword masters at the beginning, and even the existence of great sword masters is not a minority. But Smoker still thinks that few people can match Bai Han's swordsmanship. Master Bai Han's swordsmanship is so strong. Tashigi murmured while gripping the binoculars in his hands tightly. Surrounded by a group of pirates, she can still dance in the air and easily harvest the lives of the surrounding pirates with swordsmanship, which made her feel refreshed for a while. Even Tashigi was still in his mind, trying to replace himself as Bai Han. But unfortunately, Tashigi found that he could not be as powerful as Bai Han, who could accurately predict the attacks of enemies from all directions. If she can also master such a gorgeous and dangerous and practical swordsmanship, she can also become a world-renowned female marine swordsman. But at this moment, Bai Han suddenly jumped onto the mast. This scene made both Smoker and Tashigi stunned. Master Bai Han, did you consume too much energy to keep up? Tashigi couldn't help exclaiming. After a full 3 hours of ultra-high intensity fighting, the number of people killed by Bai Han has exceeded 2,000. At this moment, there will be physical inadequacy, which seems to be normal. It's just that she didn't understand why Bai Han didn't use Maramara Fruit's ability. Obviously, Bai Han had already used this ability in Rogtown before. And, when it comes to dealing with massive enemies, Maramara Fruit is definitely the way to go. Smoker couldn't help but clenched his fists. Bai Han, is this your upper limit? He didn't really believe that the person he had his eyes on would be consumed so badly by a group of mere gangsters. However, if Bai Han really couldn't bear it anymore, then he would choose to take action and save Bai Han. A man like Bai Han must not die in a place like East Blue. This world should have this man's name. At this moment, Bai Han suddenly stretched out his left hand to his chest, and then raised his 2 fingers together. The next moment, Bai Han disappeared directly in place. This scene made Smoker's eyes widen instantly, and he couldn't help exclaiming, "What?" Tashigi, who had been watching all the time, also exclaimed, "Why did Master Bai Han suddenly disappear?" Both held up binoculars and searched among the fleet of Creek pirates. However, the first person to find Bai Han was Smoker, who first pointed his telescope at the Creek pirates' flagship, the Delidornod Sabaru. Based on his understanding of Bai Han, if Bai Han's disappearance is because of Bai Han himself, then, Bai Han's goal is definitely to attack Crick and others. So, he really found Bai Han's figure above Crick's head. But it is precisely because of this that Smoker feels such horror. How is this possible? This seems to be a superhuman skill similar to shaving in Marine 6 styles. That's an ability that even he hasn't mastered yet. Although it is said that he put his energy into developing Devil Fruit's ability, it is an indisputable fact that Marine 6 styles is difficult to cultivate. Bai Han's age is obviously younger than him, but he has mastered superhuman skills similar to shaving. How can this not make him feel shocked? He, Smoker, is one of the best among the 3rd batch of Marine elite students, right? There is even hope of becoming the new Marine Admiral in the future. How to compare with Bai Han? He is like a waste. For a moment, Smoker had some doubts about Teacher Zepha's evaluation of him at that time. Is he really a genius? At this moment, Bai Han also used the body flicker technique to directly pass over the pirates of the Creek pirates, and successfully came to the top of Creek's head. This made his heart a little excited. Having the ability to shave like in Marine 6 styles is a huge boost to his mobility. He can do whatever he wants until the enemy doesn't have a large number of strong players with observation hockey. Of course, this has to be based on the fact that his chakra is sufficient. It's a pity that he hasn't activated the Indra bloodline yet, and hasn't enjoyed the majestic chakra of Lord Madara. Otherwise, he wouldn't need to worry about chakra at all. After all, if Madara's chakra uses Kakashi as the unit, it is at least at the kilocalorie level. There is no need to worry about not having enough chakra. Glancing to the side and already reacting, with the shocked ghosts Ajin and Crick on their faces, and the Iron Wall Baloo who hadn't reacted yet, Baihan made a decision in his heart instantly. While the person was still in midair, Baihan's hands had already begun to seal quickly. Fire-style dust hidden technique. The majestic chakra immediately condensed in Baihan's throat, and Baihan's cheeks also bulged quickly. Next moment, boom, a huge group of flames spewed out from Baihan's mouth in an instant, and shot towards Crick, Ajin, and Baloo below. The scalding heat wave made the three of them react instantly. Be careful, sneak attack. The three of them, Crick and Ajin, each used means to defend themselves, and then frantically moved away from the temperature center. However, before they retreated far, scorching flames had already landed on the deck. Boom! In an instant, the bow of the Delinod Sabaru was directly blasted into pieces by the scorching flames. Crick and Ajin were also screaming and were blown out. As for those ordinary pirates, they were directly cremated into bone powder by the scalding flames without even a scream. At the same time, driven by the impact of the flames, the sawdust and bone meal that had been incinerated into ashes also spread around. It even enveloped the entire Delidonid Sabaru in it. The hot sawdust and bone meal made Crick and Ajin miserable. However, no one dared to make a sound at this moment. Under the cover of sawdust, everyone became blind to each other. But once a sound is made, it is equivalent to lighting up a bright light in the dark, pointing out the way for the enemy to attack. The consequences of this are very serious. As the three combatants of the Creek pirates who have been fighting for a long time, the three of them, Creek and Ba Jin, are very aware of this. However, they didn't know that Baihan, who owns the Sharingan, was not disturbed by this mere dust at all. Every move of the three of Crick appeared clearly in Baihan's sight. Iron Wall Road. Baihan fixed his eyes on TB Baloo, who was the weakest among the three. Compared with Crick, who has powerful equipment and amazing strength, and Ajin, who is very powerful in physical skills. It's just that it is a bit outstanding in terms of defense, and it has an iron wall that makes its shield attached to the flame attack, and it is definitely the best target to deal with. Moreover, the strength of TB Baloo is also the weakest. It is not very difficult to clear the opponent out. Baihan put away the third-generation Goosh has already left. At the same time, more than a dozen shurikens strung with wire ropes appeared on his fingertips. The next moment, with Baihan's throwing action, more than a dozen shurikens flew out in all directions. And they kept bumping into each other in midair, changing their flight direction. The tinkling sound immediately alerted Crick, Ajin, and TB Baloo, and kept turning their eyes to the direction from which the sound came. It's just that they don't know what Baihan wants to do. Do you want to play tricks on Lousy? Ajin, Baloo, you two, be careful. Gas bombs. Crick growled, raised the shield in his hand, and pointed in the direction of the sound. The next moment, darts smeared with poison shot out from the shield in Crick's hand and shot in all directions. Once hit by these darts, it only takes a few minutes to easily kill a full-grown elephant. When Ajin and TB Baloo heard this, they didn't dare to act rashly, and hurriedly bowed their heads and lay down on the ground. Sure enough, just as their heads were lowered, gusts of wind passed over their heads. They couldn't imagine what the consequences would be if they moved a little slower. Captain, please pay attention to us. We don't want to be hit by your poison dart. TB Baloo couldn't help but complain. Crick didn't stop until the darts in the shield in his hand were shot. Hearing TB Baloo's complaint, he snorted coldly and said, if you can't even dodge Lousy's poison dart, then you might as well die. Launch an attack directly and disperse the surrounding fog. After all, Crick brandished the 1-ton golden gun in his hand, and then slammed it on the ground. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, a violent explosion suddenly came from the tip of Crick's gun. The strong wind brought by the shock wave directly blows away all the surrounding ashes. This is one of Crick's equipment, the big gun. The stronger the swing, the bigger the explosion from the tip of this gun will be. If the force used is large enough, it can even blow up a small and medium-sized ship in two. Ajin also did as he said, and the two weapons in his hands, which looked like tea sticks, also spun quickly, and also blew away the ashes around him. Only TB Baloo, who had all his strength on the shield, was at a loss. Captain, how can I blow these ashes away? The corner of Crick's mouth twitched at the question of the iron wall. You don't know how to find a way to ask me. Why are his subordinates either people with no brains, or people with inexplicable kindness? Crick just wanted to yell a few words, when he heard the exclamation from the iron wall. Wait, when did these steel wires get entangled in me? Oops, I'm entangled. Crick's heart trembled suddenly. According to the intelligence, East Blue Shira seemed to be very good at using steel wires. But considering the strength of East Blue Shira, the steel wire entangled Baru basically had no hope of surviving. That being the case, Crick's face showed a bit of ruthlessness. MH5, toxic gas bomb. Crick let out a low growl, and immediately pointed the shield in his hand in the direction of Iron Baru. Boom, accompanied by a loud noise, a poisonous gas bomb mercilessly flew in the direction of TB Baloo. Then, at the foot of TB Baloo, it turned into a cloud of purple smoke. TB Baloo was directly hit by the gas bomb, his face turned blue instantly, and his mouth began to foam. This sudden change not only caught Ah Jin by surprise. Even Bai Han, who was holding the steel wire in his hand and preparing to release the fire-style dragonfire technique, was caught off guard. Strike the friendly army. What kind of operation is this? Although Bai Han couldn't understand Crick's operation, he was shocked in his heart. This is to prevent his subordinates from dying in his hands, so he directly chooses to deny his teammates. However, Crick can be regarded as saving him the chakra who releases AC level ninjutsu. Bai Han let go of the steel wire in his hand, and disappeared into the ashes once again. And looking at the half-dead iron wall road that he had made, the corner of Crick's mouth couldn't help twitching. He never expected such a thing to happen. Then East Blue Shira actually chose not to attack after tying Baloo with a steel wire. Wouldn't this make him sacrifice a capable man in vain? Despicable East Blue Shira, come out! Crick yelled and threw out the big gun, causing explosions on the deck continuously, scattering ashes around, trying to ease his embarrassment. However, this move by Crick made Ah Jin feel a little more apprehensive in his heart, and subconsciously retreated a little, fearing that he would become the next unlucky person. Even his own subordinates can sacrifice without hesitation, what else can't Crick do? But at this moment, Bai Han directly caught the big gun that Crick had just thrown out, fell into a neutral position with no power to follow, and appeared behind Crick in an instant. At the same time, the third-generation Gush and Yukino in their hands silently slashed at the back of Crick's neck and waist. Compared with Ajin, who is strong in physical skills, Crick, who relies purely on his own strength and equipment, is obviously the next weak one in Bai Han's eyes. Captain, be careful. Looking at Bai Han who suddenly appeared, Ah Jin's eyes were tearing apart. Although Ah Jin waved his T-shaped crutches and ran towards Crick with all his strength. However, with the distance between him and Crick now, it is impossible to fail to support in time. The distance between the two parties is really too far. It will take him at least 2 seconds to get there. And 2 seconds was enough for that East Blue Shira to slash a dozen knives and leave safely. Now Ajin can only hope that his captain can react fast enough to hold off for a second or two. Otherwise, not only will the captain die today, but he will also not be able to escape. Even all members of the Creek Pirates, no one can escape. After all, since East Blue Shira's debut, the pirate group he has dealt with has not left a single one alive. It is said that even a dog in the pirate group will be killed by Bai Han, and earthworms will be split in half vertically. And Crick obviously felt a sense of fatal crisis from behind. This terrible crisis even made the hairs all over his body stand on end, arousing goosebumps all over his body. But unfortunately, he only managed to dodge the knife that Bai Han slashed at his back, but the knife that Bai Han stabbed at his waist failed to dodge. Ah, you fool! The severe pain from being pierced at the waist immediately made Crick scream out. Even his physical strength has decreased a lot, and he almost couldn't hold the big gun in his hand steadily. Crick was just about to swing the big gun behind him to give Bai Han a hard blow. He felt the knife stabbed into his waist suddenly spin, and then pulled out mercilessly. The sudden severe pain caused Crick's eyes to turn white and he almost fainted. At the same time, the severe pain directly took away the strength in Crick's body, making it impossible for Crick to continue to fight back. Bai Han originally wanted to make up for another knife and send Crick away directly. But it's a pity that Ah Jin has already rushed over, and the T-shaped crutch with a solid ball in his hand smashed towards his waist. If Bai Han didn't want to end up with Crick, he could only give up this attack. It's really troublesome. Shadow clone technique is too important. Bai Han sighed in his heart, then pulled back directly. If he can have the shadow clone technique, he can easily drag Ajin down, and then calmly reap Crick's life. However, the shadow clone technique was created by the evil Senju Tobarama. At this stage, Senju Tobarama is also just a teenager, and he has no ability to create the ninjutsu of shadow clone technique. Therefore, Bai Han estimated that he would not be able to learn this ninjutsu until he merged with the young Madara. However, fighting with Crick and the three of them, the fusion rate increased very quickly. Maybe today he can increase the fusion degree to 80%. Seeing a Jin who continued to attack again, Bai Han raised his fingers together, cast the body flicker technique again and disappeared in place. The next moment, he had already appeared behind Ah Jin, and the third generation ghost in his hand mercilessly slashed at Ah Jin's back. But Ah Jin is not a weak person. As a strong physicist, he is even more difficult to deal with than Crick. In addition, Ajin has seen Bai Han's sneak attack methods before. Therefore, he threw out the T-shaped crutch in his hand at the first moment, and slammed it hard behind him. Boom! With a huge force of inertia, the T-shaped crutch collided with Bai Han's blade heavily, and then a huge spark burst out. Even Bai Han was shocked by that terrifying power. This is not because Ah Jin's strength is really that great, but because of the opponent's weapon type. This kind of blunt weapon has an extremely heavy penetrating force, not to mention the inertia generated by the rotation at this moment. To Rear Admiral Ajin's strength was more than tripled. If it weren't for the weapon in his hand, it would be the third generation Onitsu, a business blade comparable to one of the 50 craftsmen of Liang Kuaisao. I'm afraid it has been interrupted by Ah Jin's abduction at this moment. However, after taking a look at the 0.5% increase in fusion progress, Bai Han couldn't help but sigh that it's better to fight against the strong to improve faster. If it wasn't for Smoker's Logia demon fruit power, he currently has almost no means of threatening Smoker except ninjutsu, so he has to find Smoker to brush up his fusion. Thinking of this, Bai Han has fought a Jin more than a dozen times. Shizu had also appeared in Bai Han's left hand, and the two knives kept colliding fiercely with the T-shaped crutch in Ajin's hand. I don't know what material the T-shaped crutch in Ah Jin's hand is made of. Unexpectedly, he was able to forcibly carry the attack of 2 good knives and 5 knives without being cut down. Of course, these are just small problems compared to the degree of integration of the increased flight speed. However, Bai Han didn't dare to delay any longer. Not to mention his physical strength and chakra have gradually entered the danger zone. Just because the pirates of the Creek pirates around him were trying to approach this side, he and Ajin were not allowed to slowly improve their fusion. Sharingan looked around, and Bai Han began to look for a breakthrough. At this moment, Crick has also slowed down by relying on the powerful Blood Bull constitution, and is looking for an opportunity to make a move with a big gun. The pirates of the Creek pirates have also begun to try to log into this pirate ship. Once these pirates charge up, even if they are all things that can be hacked to death with a single knife, it will be enough to cause him a lot of trouble. The next step is undoubtedly to find opportunities from Crick. Crick, who had been seriously injured in the waist, was already seriously injured. In addition, Crick's strength is basically in that set of equipment, and it is much easier to deal with it than Ajin. However, with Ah Jin here, it is not easy for him to find opportunities. You have to find a way to limit Ah Jin. Thinking of this, Bai Han held Shui Zhou's left hand and immediately raised 2 fingers, and performed the body flicker technique. The next moment, Bai Han disappeared in place in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already in the sky above Ah Jin, and at the same time, Bai Han pinched the 1,000 roots at his fingertips. Whoosh whoosh, thousands of copies, like steel needles, suddenly fell towards Ajin like raindrops. The sharp piercing sound is enough to prove the power of these 1,000 copies. Once hit, the effect is absolutely no less than being hit by a bullet. Ah Jin's face was also a little more dignified, and the two T-shaped crutches swung quickly, blocking the top of his head. Such a dense attack has no place to dodge. Ah Jin could only use the T-shaped crutches to block Chinbin above his head as much as possible. At the same time, avoid attack-intensive areas as much as possible. However, moving while resisting the attack caused Ajin's movement speed to decrease significantly. At this time, the knot seal in Bai Han's hand has also been completed. His hands formed a triangle in front of him. Fire-style fire extinguishment. A huge flame burst out from Bai Han's mouth in an instant. It turned into a large sea of flames and burned towards Ah Jin below. Because of being high in the air and releasing ninjutsu condescendingly, the coverage of this move is directly stretched to ultimate. With Ajin as the center, the entire range of more than 30 meters turned into a sea of flames. Ajin's only escape route is to jump into the sea to escape, otherwise he will be mercilessly engulfed by the fire. Unless you have armament hockey enough to cover your whole body, or have a monster-like Big Mom constitution. Otherwise, no one can resist in front of the mighty fire. In order to save his life, Ah Jin could only jump into the sea. He knew that East Blue Shira's move was to force himself back, and then concentrate on dealing with his own captain. But there is no way, if he accepts this move forcefully, he will be seriously injured even if he does not die. It's better to gamble that the East Blue Asura didn't kill his own captain so quickly. When he returns to the ship, he can attack East Blue Shira with his own captain. Captain Creek, don't let me down. Ah Jin murmured in his heart. Then, before the flames burned him, he decisively turned around and jumped into the sea. The sea of flames caused by the extinguishing of the great fire, directly attached to Ah Jin's body and rushed towards the surroundings, instantly burning the surrounding pirates who wanted to approach into groups of torches. This also temporarily prevented these pirates from approaching. After pushing Ah Jin back, Bai Han decisively used the body flicker technique and came to Crick's side. The two famous knives in his hand slashed towards Creek fiercely. One of the knives went to Crick's neck, while the other went to Crick's other side of the waist. This time without Ah Jin's obstruction. Once Crick's waist is blown again, he will definitely die. Unlike the open and close swordsmanship of One Piece world, the Uchiha-style swordsmanship focuses on killing the enemy. As long as conditions can be created to kill the enemy, no matter where the attack is, it is acceptable. East Blue Shira, you despicable fool. Crick was startled, and while covering his neck with a shield, he also slammed the big gun in his hand at Bai Han, who stabbed him in the waist. A waist was badly injured, and that guy might still be of some use. But if both waists are pierced, even if he can survive, he will never be a healthy man in the future. However, just when the big gun collided with the knife swung by East Blue Shira. But the big gun passed through East Blue Shira's knife without hindrance, and even passed through East Blue Shira's body. And East Blue Shira's knife also directly cut into his shield, and across his body, like a phantom. Oops. Crick was terrified in his heart. He thought of the phantoms that split out when East Blue Shira charged towards their fleet. I'm afraid it's the same situation now as it was then. And if nothing unexpected happens, East Blue Shira should be right behind him. It's just that, at this moment, he is at the moment when his old strength has not been exhausted, and his new strength has not been born, so it is too late to redefense. Thinking of this, Crick's eyes were tearing apart, and he shouted loudly, Ah Jin, save me. However, Ajin, who was hiding in the sea at this moment, avoiding the flames above his head, had no way of surfacing. Therefore, Bai Han, who is behind Crick at this moment, has no obstacles anymore. In fact, as early as when using the body flicker technique before, Bai Han had already cast the clone technique secretly. The differentiated body attacked Crick from the front, attracting Crick's attention. The main body uses the body flicker technique to come behind Crick, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Bai Han's plan was very successful. He directly seized the opportunity of poor intelligence and found the lore opportunity at this moment. Your head worth 17 million berry, I accept it. Bai Han murmured in a low voice, and at the same time swung the knife in his hand mercilessly, slashing towards the back of Crick's neck. With his strength, this knife is enough to cut off half of Crick's neck. But at this moment, the inexplicable sound of breathing in his ears made Bai Han's body stop. Breathe. Bai Han subconsciously looked in the direction of the breath. Breath comes from the boat underfoot. There was a breath coming from the armor on creek. Even the sea came to breathe. This miraculous state seemed to be very similar to a scene he had seen in anime. Listen to the breathing power of all things. Is this the realm of swordsmen? Bai Han was taken aback. He didn't expect that he could master the power of breathing of all things so easily. You know, less than 5 days have passed since I officially used the knife. Is it because of Uchiha's swordsmanship? Bai Han secretly guessed in his heart. As one of the top swordsmanship in the Hokage world, Uchiha-style swordsmanship can definitely be regarded as the pinnacle of skill. Perhaps it is precisely because of this reason that he has easily mastered the power of the swordsman in the world of pirates. Listen to the breathing, and then cut down. You can cut the steel with one blow. In order to prove his own thoughts, Bai Han gave up on slashing at Crick's neck, but directly slashed down from the head vertically. Puff! Sure enough, Bai Han didn't feel any blockage at all with this knife. It easily cut through the armor on Crick's back, and easily cut off the flesh hidden in it. Accompanied by the splash of blood, Crick rolled his eyes and fell heavily to the ground. Not to mention East Blue, even the first half of the Grand Line is enough to be called a strong one. You know, even Mr. One, who is under Crocodile of the 7 warlords of the sea, has not stepped into this realm yet. And he was easily defeated by Zoro, who had just stepped into the realm of cutting iron. It is conceivable how powerful the iron slashing realm is. Once you have fully mastered the ability of cutting iron, you can stabilize your swordsmanship at the stage of cutting iron swordsman. Then, even with just one-handed swordsmanship, Bai Han is enough to compete with pirates with a bounty of more than 30 million. Even Colonel Naval Headquarters probably doesn't have such strength yet. Suddenly, there was a sound of water breaking, and Ah Jin, who was waving his crutches, rushed out of the water with clenched teeth. You fool, dare to kill Captain Creek, then you will go to hell with Captain Creek. Ajin didn't see Bai Han's knife slashing towards Creek. Otherwise, he would never have rushed towards Bai Han so hastily. A swordsman who has mastered the realm of cutting iron, in terms of melee combat. Unless it is an opponent who has mastered a famous sword or mastered armament hockey, or also mastered the realm of cutting iron. Otherwise, it is basically an invincible existence. Facing Ah Jin's attack, Bai Han drew his sword and slashed out without hesitation. Perhaps some of Ah Jin's qualities made many hyenas fall in love with him. However, after all, that is only Ah Jin in the case of the paper man. And Ah Jin, who appeared in front of Bai Han at this moment, is just a pirate. Bai Han, who has seen too many pirates kill, will not give any one pirate a chance. Even if there are some so-called pirates who go to sea in the name of adventurers, as long as they bear the name of pirates, they are destined to have an impact on the world and encourage many people to embark on the road of pirates. For example, Bartolomeo, because of Luffy's fame, went to sea and became a pirate. Of course, Bartolomeo is not a fun thing to begin with. Before becoming a pirate, Bartolomeo was already a gangster ruling 50 towns. Clang. Taking advantage of the feeling of breathing in everything, Bai Han cut Ah Jin's double crutches in half with a single knife. Then there was another knife, and Ah Jin's throat was directly blocked. With the gurgling blood flowing out, Ah Jin fell to the ground with a plop. Even if he has just mastered the state of cutting iron, Bai Han's strength is far beyond what Ah Jin can compete with. What's more, it is not uncommon for Ah Jin to be killed in seconds when Ah Jin is unprepared. And Ajin, who felt the rapid loss of his physical strength, did not feel any fear. From the day he became a pirate, he has been ready for this day. At this moment, Ah Jin's eyes were full of relief, and he opened his mouth and moved as if to say something. Although Ah Jin did not make a sound. However, Bai Han understood what Ah Jin meant. Hiding really deep. So you are still a swordsman. Can you let the pirates of the Creek pirates go? They don't pose any threat to you. However, Bai Han's eyes were still extremely cold, and he asked, did they ever let those looted civilians go? The Creek pirates were able to grow to such a gigantic size. There is absolutely hidden behind the grievances and pain of countless civilians. Even if one pirate ship needs 10 million berry, 50 pirate ships will need 500 million berry. In addition to the food and clothing of these pirates, even if each person only needs 500 berry per day, a super pirate group of 5,000 people is enough to cost 2.5 million berry. That's 75 million berry in 1 month. In addition to the weapons assembled by each pirate, it is calculated as 10,000 berry, which is also an expense worth 50 million. How many towns have to be plundered and how many civilians have been killed to earn so much money? Therefore, Bai Han never kept alive when facing pirates. As long as he can kill them all, he will never let any pirate go. A Jin opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything, but fell powerlessly to the ground. Bai Han didn't waste too much time on Ajin. Looking at the remnants of the Creek pirates who looked at him with fear on their faces, he clenched the third-generation Gush and Yukiso in his hands. The breath of the ship. Bai Han took a deep breath, and while he could still hear the breathing of all things, he settled down and listened carefully to the breathing of the pirate ships around him. The next moment, Bai Han displayed the body flicker technique, and disappeared in place in an instant. And when he appeared again, he had already appeared beside a pirate ship that was still in good condition. Then he drew and swung the knife without hesitation. Rub. Accompanied by a flash of cold light, the pirate ship that was hit was instantly split into 2 halves, and it sank towards the bottom of the sea with the pirates above it. This caused the fish below, which were attracted by the blood, to start a gluttonous feast. This is the power possessed by the sword hero who has comprehended the meaning of cutting iron. Even if it is facing a pirate ship that is not too small in size, it can still be broken with 1 knife. Bai Han didn't stop at all, and kept flashing beside the pirate ship through the body flicker technique, and then drew his sword and drew his sword. One after another, the pirate ships were cut in half and sank into the sea. The pirates on the pirate ship could only scream and sink into the sea, becoming food for the sea fish in the sea. But in just half a minute, there was not a single intact ship on the entire sea. The entire Creek pirates were wiped out by Bai Han. At this moment, Bai Han quit the state of listening to the breathing of all things, and everything around him fell into peace again. But Bai Han didn't feel the slightest regret. Since he has entered this state once, then it is only a matter of time before you want to enter next time. At this moment, a system prompt suddenly sounded in Bai Han's mind. Congratulations to the host fusion degree increased to 80%, 3 Tomo Sharingan has been activated, the total amount of chakra has increased to Jonin, the rewards are Kunai x 1000, Shuriken x 1000, Senben x 800, Steel Wire x 100, Sharingan Illusion modified to synchronize with the world x 1, Fire Style Howlong Fire Technique Grade B. Bai Han suddenly felt that the vision of both eyes suddenly increased dozens of times. He can even see everything on the sea more than 10 kilometers away. He even saw Smoker and others standing on the marine warship, looking at him with a shocked expression through the binoculars. And if he looked towards the sea, he could even directly penetrate hundreds of meters of seawater and see any place in it. Of course, more importantly, the pupil power in this pair of Sharingan has been greatly improved at this moment. Even if he doesn't know any illusion, but relying on the pupil power of these eyes alone, he can cause some interference to the enemy. No, the illusion in Hokage seems to have an effect on the enemy by interfering with chakra. My Sharingan illusion won't work in this world, right? Thinking of this question, Bai Han suddenly became worried. Because Sharingan's level was not high before, his pupil power was not very obvious, and he did not have the corresponding illusion. Therefore, Bai Han has never thought about this issue. But at this moment, the sudden question made him feel a little worried. After all, illusion is a very powerful method. It can be said that almost 70% of Uchiha's strength lies in these eyes. Even if what he fuses is Uchiha Madara, who is known as the strongest Uchiha. Relying on more than just the illusion power of this pair of Sharingan. But it is undeniable that once the ability of illusion cannot take effect, it will be a big restriction for him. Especially in the early period when he was relatively weak. But at this moment, the various Sharingan illusions that suddenly appeared in his mind, as well as the introduction to the power of the Sharingan pupil technique, made Bai Han feel ecstatic. After Sharingan has undergone systematic corrections, it is no longer like before, it only works on targets with chakra. Even if it is facing an object without chakra, it can also play a role. The illusion will directly act on the opponent's spirit, instead of only acting on chakra as before. This means that the terrifying pupil technique of the Uchiha family will bloom its brilliance in the world of pirates. The harvest this time is really amazing. Bai Han couldn't help exclaiming in his heart. Not only did he understand the meaning of cutting iron, but he also raised the total amount of chakra to the level of Jonin, and even activated the 3-Tomo Sharingan. With his current strength, he is even comparable to the strongest in elite Jonin. And if it is placed in the world of pirates, I am afraid it is not weaker than those naval headquarters Commodore. Even in the face of the weaker naval headquarters Rear Admiral, they may not be powerless. Once he is thoroughly familiar with the usage of 3-Tomo Sharingan and the meaning of cutting iron, it is entirely possible to have quasi-cage level combat power. At that time, even facing naval headquarters Vice Admiral may not be invincible. With such a strength just in East Blue, Bai-Han is very satisfied with this growth rate. It's a pity for the treasures of the Creek pirates. Looking at the gradually quiet sea, Bai-Han shook his head regretfully. But this is also something that can't be helped. His chakra is almost exhausted after the last continuous body flicker technique. Even his physical strength was almost consumed by those dozens of swords. He has no spare energy to slowly clean up the remaining Creek pirates' remnants. After all, although those pirates are remnants, they still number nearly 3,000. At this moment, Smoker, who just rushed over, also heard Bai-Han's complaints, and couldn't help cursing with black lines all over his head. It's not easy for you fool to kill the Creek pirates, and you still think about the other party's treasure. Quote. Even he is not sure about wiping out the Creek pirates. At best, he has arrested the leading figures. After all, it was a large fleet of 5,000 people. If the other party really wanted to run away, he wouldn't be able to keep it. It's just luck. Bai-Han put away 3rd-generation Gush and Yukiso, and jumped directly onto Smoker's warship. But having said that, Yugai has stepped into the realm of swordsmen. Smoker took a puff of his cigar, tilted his head to look at Bai-Han and asked in a deep voice. In front of this fool, he seems to be no different from a waste. Logia devil fruit is also well developed. Even he didn't master it, similar to the shaved Superman in Marine 6 styles. Coupled with this sword hero's iron-slashing realm, it's as powerful as a monster. It seems that even today's Marine 3 Admiral didn't have such strength at the same time. Also, Bai-Han doesn't even seem to be 20 years old, he's scary just thinking about it. If Bai-Han doesn't die, I'm afraid there will be at least an alternate Admiral class existence in the future. Well, luck is better, I just broke through. The corners of Bai-Han's mouth curled up slightly. After finishing speaking, he added another sentence. Although I didn't really start using knives until after I bought the 3rd-generation Ghost and Snow. Although activating the realm of cutting iron may have a certain relationship with Uchiha swordsmanship. However, this is the ability he really activated with his own talent. Even Bai-Han couldn't help but feel a little proud. Smoker, Versailles, and Teacher Zepha, have you lied to me? I'm first really some marine genius. Or is it that I, the leader of the 3rd Marine Elite Academy, lowered the average line of marine geniuses? However, Tashigi, who was standing aside, didn't think so much. She couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wow, Master Bai-Han, you are too good. Can you teach me swordsmanship? I also imagine that you are so good." At this moment, Tashigi is only 18 years old and has just come of age, and her personality is basically not much different from that of an ordinary little girl. That's why he was so lively at this moment. When she grows up in the future, Tashigi will become a calm female marine. Bai-Han, although it was very cool to be praised, he even wanted to agree to Tashigi's request. However, his next target is the Dragon Pirates. Then plan to go to the Grand Line to build your own boat, but there is not so much time to waste here. That, Bai-Han sorted out his language, ready to decline the request of his little fan. Then I heard Smoker say with a cigar in his mouth, "It is not so easy to liquidate the bounty of the Creek pirates. If you mind that there may be some funds that will be settled later, then you may have to wait for a few days." Gone. Bai-Han frowned suddenly, and looked at Smoker questioningly. Could it be that Smoker wanted to threaten him in this way? "Hey, hello, what kind of eyes are you looking at? How can Lousy, the chief student of the 3rd Marine Elite student, bully you with this kind of thing?" Smoker immediately looked at Bai-Han fiercely. It seems that as long as Bai-Han dares to say a word yes, he will immediately attack Bai-Han. Bai-Han, more like. Fortunately, Smoker doesn't really want to do anything to Bai-Han. After the murder, he continued to explain, do you think whoever exterminates pirates will directly exterminate 5,000 people like you did this time? This number can be used as the army of some small countries. After finishing his complaints, Smoker continued, it is not an easy task to calculate the rewards of so many people. It will take at least 3 days to complete the liquidation, but if you are in a hurry, you can also take away the bounties of those cadres first, and collect the rest when you go to other marine branches next time. Bai Han glanced at Smoker suspiciously, is this really the case? But after thinking about it, he turned his attention to Tashigi who was on the side. Smoker is such an old fritter, even a single expression is not trustworthy. But small fresh meat like Tashigi is different. The other party is as innocent as a piece of white paper, all emotions are written on his face. Seeing Bai Han's gaze, Tashigi immediately blushed and nodded frantically, Master Smoker is right, this is Master Bai Han. Seeing Tashigi's performance, Bai Han finally believed it. But Smoker broke his guard because of Bai Han's move, and yelled at Bai Han directly, you fool. What do you mean? Do you not trust Lousy? Amid Smoker's loud roar, the warship also slowly sailed towards the direction of Rog Town. Rog Town Marine Base, Bai Han arrived here along with the warship. As a bounty hunter, Bai Han was probably the only one who entered the marine base in Rog Town. After all, this is not such an important place as naval headquarters. However, Rog Town, as the place where the One Piece King Roger was executed, is of great significance. The marine base here is definitely not accessible to ordinary people. However, in order to allow his subordinates to learn swordsmanship from Bai Han, Smoker made an exception without hesitation. After all, Smoker wouldn't have been transferred to the East Blue if he was someone who obeyed the rules. Bai Han and Tashigi face each other at the marine training ground in Rog Town. During the 3 days of receiving the bounty, I will teach you as much as possible, but how much you can learn depends on your own ability. Bai Han looked down at Tashigi and said in a deep voice. The reason why he taught Tashigi swordsmanship was partly because his little fan was a favorite character in the original book in his previous life. On the other hand, it is to repay Smoker's favor. Smoker can choose to believe him and send Marine to besiege the Creek pirates. This is an undeniable favor. Even if the Marine fleet brought by Smoker is useless in the end. But Bai Han still showed Smoker's favor. And he never liked to owe favors to others. That's why he agreed to Smoker's request to teach Tashigi swordsmanship during these 3 days. As for how much Tashigi can learn in the end, that is not something Bai Han needs to consider. Yes, Master. Tashigi held his knife happily and said seriously. At this moment, Tashigi has not yet obtained Saya Shigur, one of the 50 good knives, and only uses an ordinary knife. Bai Han didn't care about Tashigi's title, but pulled out 3rd generation Devil May Cry, pointed to the wooden stake in front of him and said, my swordsmanship is purely for killing, as long as it can be effective in beheading the enemy, any attack position will become the target of my attack, you watch carefully. Bai Han took a deep breath, and the 3rd generation Goosh in his hand instantly turned into a phantom, attacking the wooden post in front of him. In an instant, every vital point of the stake was under Bai Han's attack. It all seemed to happen in an instant. Before Tashigi could even see what was happening, dozens of knife marks appeared on the stake. Okay, so fast. Tashigi broke out in a cold sweat. At this moment, observing Bai Han's knife closely, she realized how terrifying a real strong man is. If she replaced the wooden stake, she wouldn't even be able to react, she would be dead. Okay, you first remember these places I cut, we are continuing to teach the next step. Bai Han put away the knife and stood aside with folded arms. He is not good at teaching. But since you have promised others, then things must be done to the best. Therefore, Bai Han can only teach in his own way. Yes, teacher. Tashigi's eyes widened immediately, and he began to carefully record every knife mark on the stake. At the same time, a small boat quietly sailed into the port of Rog Town. A girl with orange hair glanced at the location of the marine base in Rog Town in the distance, and then hurriedly jumped off the boat. The orange-haired girl is Nami, and she followed Marine's warship all the way to the town of Rog. After witnessing the Marine warship sailing into the Marine base in Rog Town, immediately chose the pier to enter the town of Rog. She watched the East Blue Shira's battle from beginning to end. After watching the whole process, she can only use one word to describe the performance of that East Blue Shira. That East Blue Shira refreshed her 3 views again and again. Let her know for the first time that someone can run on water. This is the first time I know that someone can spew out such a huge flame, and even cause terrifying damage. For the first time, let her know that someone can single out 5,000 people with 2 knives, and behead more than 2,000 people. It was the first time to let her know that someone could appear 100 meters away in an instant. It was the first time to let her know that there are people in this world who can slice open a ship. All of this had a huge impact on Nami's 16-year-old heart. If you can get the help of such a powerful existence, it is not worth mentioning to solve a mere dragon pirate group. Moreover, because of this incident, Nami's heart has also planted the seeds of becoming stronger. She also wants to become as powerful as this East Blue Shira. In this way, she can better protect her hometown, and even fulfill the dream she has always kept deep in her heart. I'm afraid there is only one chance. I must seize it. There was a flash of determination in Nami's eyes, and then quickly ran towards the town of Rog. Next, she still needs to make some arrangements in order to better gain the trust of this East Blue Shira, so as to join the opponent's team. Bai-Han, who is teaching Tashigi, doesn't know that he has been targeted. At the moment, he is seriously teaching Tashigi Uchiha style of swordsmanship. Although it is said that Uchiha-style swordsmanship is a killing swordsmanship specially created to cooperate with Sharingan. However, observation haki also exists in One Piece world. In the future, Tashigi can use observation haki to replace Sharingan's dynamic vision for assistance. Therefore, Bai-Han is very much looking forward to seeing the birth of a female swordsman who masters Uchiha-style swordsmanship. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Smoker came to the training ground with a big box, and after tossing the box to Bai-Han, he said in a deep voice, "The total bounty of the Creek Pirates has been calculated, and the total is 127 million Baileys, and I have exchanged them all for you. Became equal gold." Bai-Han didn't check the amount of gold, did he? At this point, he still trusts Smoker. If Smoker is corrupt, then Marine will really be doomed. Well, I should go too. Bai-Han picked up the box and nodded. Then he turned his attention to Tashigi and said, "I have taught you what I can teach you. The rest is for you to practice more. Don't let me down." After all, he ignored Tashigi's answer, turned around and walked outside the marine base. After these 3 days of teaching, Bai-Han was quite dissatisfied with Tashigi's talent. Tashigi's talent in swordsmanship can only be said to be mediocre, and it is only a little better than ordinary people. If it continues to develop, it will at best be the strength of a naval headquarters rear admiral in the future. Originally, Bai-Han thought that in 3 days, Tashigi could at most learn 30% to 40% of the Uchiha style of swordsmanship. However, Bai-Han did not expect that Tashigi paid 120% of the sweat. Forcibly learn 70% to 80% of the Uchiha style swordsmanship in 3 days. This progress even surprised Bai-Han. Even if this is just a preliminary knowledge of the moves in the Uchiha style of swordsmanship, it is still amazing. Tashigi showed Bai-Han what it means to be a hardworking genius. If the other party can keep working so hard, then, he dares to assert that in the future, there will definitely be Tashigi as the female swordsman of Marine. Tashigi bowed solemnly to Bai-Han's back, tears of reluctance and gratitude filled his eyes, and at the same time shouted loudly, "Thank you for your teaching. Tashigi will never forget your kindness." It is precisely because he has learned it that Tashigi understands what a powerful swordsmanship he has learned. This is a powerful existence that is completely different from the entire swordsmanship system. It is different from the opening and closing of other swordsmanship. This is completely a powerful and gorgeous skill-based sword technique that integrates killing into every move and style. Moreover, such a swordsmanship does not have such high physical requirements. It is very suitable for women like her, whose constitution is far inferior to men. It can be said that Bai-Han's teaching opened the way for her to become a swordsman. Therefore, Tashigi is grateful to Bai-Han from the bottom of his heart. Looking at this scene, Smoker couldn't help squinting his eyes slightly. "It seems that I owe this fool a huge favor. This is not good. Lousy is not in the habit of owing others. Tashigi is gone, catch up with him. Lousy is about to return his favor." He usually treats Tashigi as his daughter. After all, he was 31 years old, exactly 13 years older than Tashigi. Now Tashigi knew at a glance that he had benefited greatly from Bai-Han, so he naturally didn't want to owe such a favor. What's more, this favor belongs to Bai-Han, the Versailles fool. Tashigi, who was still secretly sad, was stunned by Smoker's sudden sentence, Colonel Smoker, what did you say? Smoker said without looking back, if you don't leave, I won't wait for you. Tashigi hurriedly chased after hearing this, and at the same time asked worriedly, do you want to ask Mr. Sensei for something? Colonel Smoker. Looking at Tashigi, who was afraid of making trouble for himself, Smoker, you don't care what I have. His little padded jacket began to leak air, and Smoker only felt a burst of heartache. Obviously he came first. On the other side, after getting the bounty, Bai-Han turned around and walked towards the port of Rog Town. Next, he only needs to get rid of the dragon pirates, and his shipbuilding plan is basically ready. Even if it's not enough, he can still catch a few pirates in the water capital to make up the last money. After all, the capital of water is the largest shipbuilding island in the world, and both the world government and pirates are flocking to it. The number of pirates here is much more than that in Rog Town. Killing pirates here, earning bounties is simply easier than stealing money. And more importantly, the pirates here basically have some background. Otherwise, I would not dare to go to the capital of water to build my own pirate ship. It's totally one business, two incomes. Bai-Han can't wait to go to the water capital. But at this moment, an orange-haired figure suddenly fell in front of him. Then, an extremely weak girl's voice came into his ears, Master East Blue Shira, please help, save my hometown. Bai-Han raised his eyebrows slightly. It wasn't the first time he encountered this situation. In the past, on the way to hunt pirates, many civilians who had been persecuted in their hometown would come to beg him. Under normal circumstances, if he has nothing important to do, he will agree to the other party's request. It may be for this reason that he basically didn't need to collect information about pirates himself. As long as he followed these civilians who begged him, he would be able to find the target directly and accurately. And this time, it seems that there is no difference from before. Get up and tell me where your hometown is, Bai-Han said in a tone of cold indifference. This is also the tone he has always used when dealing with this type of civilians in the past. Otherwise, civilians like this who regard him as a life-saving straw are too enthusiastic, and even after he agrees, they will kowtow to him again and again to thank him. Bai-Han is not the kind of person with a pervert habit, but he can't stand such a scene. And the orange girl lying on Bai-Han's feet was overjoyed. Hastily raised his head and looked pitifully at Bai-Han, who only showed his eyes, and said, my hometown is called Ho-Zil Village. It is occupied by the evil dragon pirates. Master East Blue Shira, can you help me? I will definitely repay you well and treat you like a cow or a horse. When Bai-Han heard the name of Kokoja village, his body froze. Then, his eyes widened immediately, and he looked at the girl who somehow had hugged his thigh. Sure enough, under the half-length orange hair, there was a slightly immature but already somewhat charming face. Who else could this be if it wasn't the little thief, Nami? Bai-Han's first reaction was to put the gold box hidden in his hands behind him. His eyes became vigilant, and at the same time he refused in a harsh tone, the dragon pirates are my next hunting target. I will naturally destroy it, and I don't need your reward. Bai-Han couldn't help but be so sensitive. This is the little burglar who has stolen all over the East Blue. Almost all the major pirate groups in East Blue have been patronized by this little thief, even including the future 4 emperors Buggy-sama. Bai-Han seriously doubts whether Nami is eyeing his money. Thinking of this, Bai-Han's desire to return to his boat became even more urgent. He wants to know if the money he hid on the boat is still there. If he is not there, the true master is right in front of him, and he still hopes to find him back. Nami didn't notice Bai-Han's vigilance. Although knowing that the next target of the East Blue Shira in front of him is the dragon pirates, this makes Nami very happy. But, after seeing Bai-Han's monster strength, Nami's dream has long been more than just asking Bai-Han to solve the evil dragon pirates. She also wants to follow Bai-Han and become a strong man who can control her own destiny. While being able to protect your hometown, you can also fulfill your dream of drawing a world map. Chapter 31. Nami immediately figured out these questions. So, he hugged Bai Han's thigh and started crying, "Please accept me. I have been killed by the evil dragons and made me homeless. The evil dragons are powerful. Even if you use me as cannon fodder, you can use up the energy of the evil dragons." Where did she get such a shame as a little girl? Nami knew that the East Blue Shira in front of him might be his only hope to step out of East Blue in his life. After all, there are too many dangers in this sea. Not to mention that she doesn't have much strength. Even if she has a little strength, she definitely can't compare with a monster like East Blue Shira. However, as far as she knew, powerful monsters abounded on the so-called Grand Line. Even a monster as strong as a dragon is nothing more than a waste of East Blue that escaped from the Grand Line. As for joining other pirates, Nami didn't think about it at all. Among the other pirate groups, there is no one who can't burn, kill and loot. Her hometown was persecuted by the dragon pirates and became a slave enslaved by the dragon pirates. Even her mother died at the hands of the dragon pirates. How could she choose to join the team of other pirates? What's more, she is still a woman. In the pirate group, that is simply the best plaything. And Bai Han, who was hugged by Nami's thigh and couldn't break free. If he didn't recognize the identity of the girl in front of him, he would really believe Nami's nonsense. The girl in front of her had been among the various pirate groups since she was a child, stealing their treasures. Although I don't know why he is the bounty hunter. But Bai Han had to guard against it. After all, he really owns hundreds of millions of berries property. Sorry, I don't like acting with people. Bai Han mercilessly rejected Nami's request. At the same time, he directly cast body replacement technique and disappeared in place, walking quickly towards the port. He's going to see if the money on his boat is missing. And Nami, who was holding a wooden stake, was completely dumbfounded, although she knew that Bai Han had such abilities. But she never thought that this ability can be used while being hugged. What kind of magical ability is this special? However, this also strengthened Nami's idea of following Bai Han. After all, it seems that none of Bai Han's abilities can be cultivated without a powerful constitution. Can't you go through the tragedy? If so, then I'll change the way. Nami gritted his teeth and got up from the ground. Then he quickly chased towards the port of Rog Town. In these 3 days, she had already deeply memorized the location of Bai Han's ship. The purpose is to be able to implement Plan B immediately after Plan A fails. Compared with Plan A, which shows his weakness and arouses Bai Han's sympathy, Plan B has a higher success rate in Nami's heart. She didn't believe that Bai Han was really so versatile that he could even master the abilities of a navigator. As for her own talent, Nami thinks that even if she is not the best in the world, she is definitely the best in East Blue. As long as Bai Han wants to go to the Grand Line, he needs a navigator. And in the entire East Blue, she didn't think anyone would be more suitable than her. It didn't take long for Nami to find Bai Han, who was untying the cable at the pier. Without the slightest hesitation, Nami ran over directly and shouted, "Master East Blue Shira, let me be your navigator. In your future journey, the navigator is definitely an indispensable role. And he is the best navigator in the entire East Blue. He will definitely make your journey more comfortable, and you don't need to worry about the weather at sea from now on." This sentence was shouted out by Nami. Therefore, everyone on the pier listened to it. When everyone found out that the person who yelled this was a 16 or 17-year-old girl, they burst into laughter immediately. "Ha ha ha, the little girl wants to board Master East Blue Shira's ship, you must be crazy. Little girl, you should save your energy. That's right, I haven't dared to say that I'm the best navigator in East Blue after wandering at sea for more than 40 years. How old are you, little girl? Even if you learn sailing skills from the womb, it's not enough, ha ha ha." Another little fan girl attracted by Master East Blue Shira, tisk tisk tisk. No one believed what Nami said at all. Everyone took Nami's words as a joke and laughed out loud. After all, words like best or strongest are very sensitive. Only when you have reached the peak in a certain field, can you be qualified to be called the best or the strongest. For example, Bai Han, because of his previous record, and the more than 5,000 people who wiped out the Creek pirates not long ago, can now be called the best bounty hunter in East Blue. And, no one can deny this one thing. And a girl who is only 16 years old can only make people laugh if she wants to say that she is the best navigator in the East Blue. Hearing Nami's words, Bai-Han stopped understanding the cable and looked at Nami. He didn't deny what Nami said. After all, the opponent is the navigator on the future One Piece ship in the original plot, and he is destined to bear the name of the strongest in the future. However, this is not the reason for the other party to board his ship. You know, Hawkeye can wander around the Grand Line even with a coffin. Even if you go to a place like New World, there is no problem. It's not that Hawkeye is completely a lucky player. If you encounter a natural disaster that you can't resist, just lie in the coffin you prepared for yourself. Hearing the discussions around, and seeing Bai-Han's gaze, Nami smiled secretly in his heart. At this moment, the reactions of everyone at the pier were under her control. And next, it's her turn to show off her powerful talent, and give that East Blue Shira a reason why she can't refuse herself. Nami closed his eyes slightly, and raised his hands high, as if he was quietly feeling something. After a while, she opened her eyes and smiled confidently. 5 minutes later, there will be heavy rain in Rog Town, and this heavy rain will last for half an hour. Everyone at the pier looked at the clear sky above their heads, and burst out laughing. Little girl, there isn't even a single cloud on the sea right now, how could it be raining heavily? You couldn't have made it. Have you been bragging? It will rain in 5 minutes. Even if it is 10 or 20 minutes, it's impossible. I see the sky is clear today, it's a good time to go out to sea. Hey, the little girl is still a little younger. In order to perform in front of idols, she really doesn't care about anything. Even Bai-Han looked at Nami curiously. Although I know that Nami is extremely talented in Navigator. Otherwise, it is impossible to become the navigator of the protagonist group. However, Bai-Han has no concept of how strong Nami's talent is. In the original plot, there was no positive description about Nami's talent in Navigator. At best, Nami's talent is reflected in some small things. He was indeed very curious whether everything would really be as Nami said, and there would be a heavy rain in 5 minutes. After another half hour, the rain will stop. Seeing Bai-Han's gaze, Nami couldn't help showing a little excitement in his eyes. You can't go wrong. She made a lot of preparations for this day 3 days ago. After repeated verifications, she calculated multiple weather nodes today. And now, the time just happened to hit the time when it was going to rain. This is also the time point in which Nami thinks she can best show her talent among the many time points. She seemed to have seen the unbelievable shock in the eyes of that East Blue Shira. As for why not see it on the face? It's because the other party's collar is too high, and a pair of eyes will be exposed. She still doesn't know what this East Blue Shira looks like. However, just as Nami was having a beautiful fantasy, a slightly rough voice suddenly came from behind her. You fool, what are you doing running so fast? Is it because I have thorns here? You have to leave immediately. Nami turned her head subconsciously, and saw a strong figure more than 2 meters high, like a mountain, appearing behind her. A strong smell of cigars rushed over, allowing Nami to know the identity of the visitor immediately. The marine legend who resides in the town of Rog, the White Goblin Smoker. Nami's body froze there for an instant. After all, with her current status, she can actually be regarded as a member of the Dragon Pirates. Although he has never bullied civilians, he is still a pirate after all. And he has committed the crime of theft many times, although the target is only pirates. How could she not be nervous when facing the serious marine powerhouse now? Smoker looked down at the poorly dressed Nami, and subconsciously choked out the cigarette in his mouth. The little girl in front of me didn't know if she was 14 or 15. The whole person is thin and small, and he doesn't look very good. Judging from what he learned from his subordinates, the little girl's hometown seems to have been destroyed by the Dragon Pirates. This can also explain why this little girl looks so thin. Even Tashigi is a few tails bigger than the little girl in front of him. Sorry girl, did I scare you? Looking at the little girl who seemed to be scared by him, Smoker directly chose to apologize. He's pretty darn good about his looks. Although he is not particularly handsome, he also looks extremely fierce. Children often cry because of his appearance. He felt that the little girl in front of him should be in this situation. No. Nothing. Nami stepped aside stiffly, not daring to meet Smoker's eyes. Smoker, who has long been accustomed to it, didn't look at Nami, but continued to walk towards Baihan, and at the same time cursed, "Didn't you agree to take the bounty and treat me to a drink? You want to waste this meal so much wine." Smoker also knows that his own existence is the greatest fear of others. So, without saying anything, he passed Nami and continued to question Baihan. Tashigi, who was following behind Smoker, looked at Nami more curiously. However, Tashigi didn't think much about it. Instead, his eyes were full of sympathy for Nami. This is another poor man whose home was destroyed by pirates. She vowed that in the future, she must practice the sword skills taught to her by her master, so that those nasty pirates can go where they should go. At the same time, Baihan looked at Smoker, who was approaching him aggressively, and replied blankly, "Please don't make a unilateral agreement, thank you. All his money was earned from his hard work killing pirates. Why spend on such things as inviting people to drink? He might think about it if Smoker offered him a drink." Smoker walked to Baihan's side, glanced at the civilians who had subconsciously scattered around, and said in a slightly lower tone, "I heard that you are going to deal with the dragon pirates." Baihan replied with a nod. He wasn't surprised that Smoker knew about it. What he said on the street before is not behind anyone's back, and it is not difficult for Smoker to know. After hearing this, Smoker immediately stopped and said, "No, there are too many problems involved in this, you can't take this kind of risk." After hesitating for a while, Smoker still told Baihan the secret. The original body of the dragon pirates is the Sun Pirates. The current leader of the Sun Pirates is Jinbei, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Although it is said that the dragon pirates have been separated from the Sun Pirates, they formed the dragon pirates themselves. According to rumors, he openly had a conflict with Jinbei, and Jinbei has already broken up. However, you must know that the condition for Jinbei to agree to become 7 warlords of the sea is to release all the evil dragons from impelled down Vice Admiral. That is to say, the dragon pirates are covered by Jinbei, who is 7 warlords of the sea. If it is simply to capture the dragon pirates, then maybe there is no problem. Jinbei was probably a little dissatisfied at best. Then use his own Shichibukai privilege to release the dragon gang again. But the problem is that Baihan made a move. Where did he get a job? That's the ruthless man who would grab the earthworms on the pirate ship and cut them in half vertically. And once Baihan kills the dragon pirates, it is tantamount to directly offending Jinbei. In this sea, even Admiral dare not say that he can be without fear of Jinbei. After all, as a Murloc, Jinbei has an absolute advantage in the sea. Just hiding in the sea and constantly attacking is enough to cause headaches for any party. Even Marine doesn't want to provoke Jinbei easily. Baihan's current strength may already be regarded as the top among East Blue. Even if the entire dragon pirates fight against Baihan, there is almost no chance of surviving. However, Baihan is still a little too young compared to Jinbei, who became the 7 warlords of the sea. Baihan has to at least grow to the level of substitute admiral before he has a chance to challenge Jinbei. And what Smoker said made Nami, who followed secretly, cover her mouth in shock. King, 7 warlords of the sea. After knowing that there is such a terrifying existence standing behind the evil dragon gang, Nami feels like the whole sky is falling. It's perfectly normal for Nami to be so desperate. To ordinary people, the 7 warlords of the sea are 7 huge mountains. And the fact is indeed like this. Even Moria, the weakest in 7 warlords of the sea. That is also the existence that once fought against Kaido when he was young, and managed to escape without being locked up for mining. Even if he becomes a fat man, he can still kill indiscriminately in the Devil's Triangle Sea, killing all the pirates who strayed into it. This kind of strength, even in a place like New World where monsters are rampant, is not considered weak. What's more, Jinbei is still a leader in 7 warlords of the sea, and his strength is enough to be included in the top 3 among them. Let alone Nami. Even Baihan frowned subconsciously. He also just realized the hidden power behind the dragon pirates. If he really killed the dragon, Jinbei might come to him for revenge. After all, his grandpa wasn't Monkey D. Garp. His father's name was not Monkey D. Dorag either. His uncle is not even called Monkey D. Kizaru, Doghead. And, compared to Smoker, he also knows a more terrifying news. That is Xiao Hachi of the Dragon Pirates, and actually the savior of Pluton Rayleigh, the deputy captain of One Piece Roger. Compared to Jinbei, who can only compete with Admiral in the sea. Pluton Rayleigh is a real admiral. Even if due to old age and frailty, there has been a considerable decline in physical strength, but that is only for monsters of the same level. Pluton Rayleigh is still the one who can swim through the calm belt with his bare hands. If Hachi is killed, maybe Pluton Rayleigh will get his position from his concubine and informant Shaki. Then swim directly from the Sabayati archipelago to trouble him. After all, he is not like Luffy, the son of destiny of One Piece, who does not have any power background to make Pluton Rayleigh feel afraid. 7 warlords of the sea, it's really hard to deal with. Not to mention there is a Pluton Rayleigh. Bai Han murmured. This not-so-loud voice reached Nami's ears, directly erasing the last hope in her heart. But she can also understand Bai Han. After all, 7 warlords of the sea is really an existence whose name alone is enough to suffocate people. It was personally selected by the world government, composed of 7 powerful men with high reputations, specially used to check and balance the terrorist forces of the 4 emperors. These existences, named 7 warlords of the sea, even have the legal right to plunder. As long as it is not detected, world government will ignore it. And if the world government finds out, 7 warlords of the sea only needs to contribute part of the proceeds from this looting. Even after hearing the 5 words 7 warlords of the sea, she already felt boundless despair. No wonder the evil dragon is obviously a pirate, yet he dares to build a so-called evil dragon paradise on Zume-da Island where she is located. No fear that Marine will hunt him down. With the 7 warlords of the sea standing behind them, what else is Marine to fear? That is a legitimate FA high thief recognized by the world government. Nami thought bitterly in her heart. But, at this moment, Bai Han's voice sounded again, and Nami looked up subconsciously. This is more interesting, isn't it? If I die by his hands, it will prove that I am nothing more than that. Bai Han's eyes were full of fiery fighting intent. Even the 3-tomo Sharingan popped up on its own, spinning rapidly in the pupils, showing that the owner of the eyes was not at peace at the moment. If Marine Admiral and 4 emperors are in the first echelon of this world, then, Jinbei, who is 7 warlords of the sea, belongs to the existence that half a foot has stepped into the first echelon. Even with the blessing of the sea, Jinbei is comparable to the characters in the first echelon. Plus Pluton Rayleigh, who is definitely the first echelon. Being able to provoke 2 people standing on top of the world at the same time, Bai Han felt his blood boil just thinking about it. Although his current strength is far inferior to these 2. However, he is the one who bears the template of Lord Madara. As long as there are enough battles, it is not difficult for him to catch up to or even surpass these 2 people. And with the intensity of the battles on the Grand Line, he will never lack opportunities to improve his strength. Bai Han's words shocked all 3 people who heard it. They didn't expect Bai Han's first reaction to be excited after hearing this explanation. Smoker was silent for a moment, and a word came to mind: madman. Tashigi is full of little stars, so handsome, as expected of master. Nami was shocked at first, and then looked at Bai Han with a complicated face. After a long time, he murmured, idiot. At this time, the sky suddenly darkened, and Bai Han's scarlet eyes were extremely conspicuous at this moment. However, a mere 7 warlords of the sea can't stop my footsteps. Boom! A bolt of lightning just appeared and struck behind Bai Han. Against the background of Bai Han's previous words, Bai Han's figure was set off extremely tall. Even Smoker, who was slightly stronger than Bai Han at the moment, was slightly shaken in his mind. Obviously his current strength should be stronger than Bai Han, but he actually felt that his aura was suppressed by Bai Han. It's so bold. Maybe I've been silent in East Blue for too long. Smoker murmured with blank eyes. He seems to have worn out his former vigor here. Although this is not a bad thing, it is not a good thing either. For him, a calm enough brain allows him to handle various things more easily. It's like facing the dragon pirates. He chose to be blind, and he had the ability to deal with it, but he had the right to pretend he didn't see it. And this is obviously not a good thing for the civilians who were killed by the dragon pirates. If it was the temper he had just graduated from the Marine elite students, the dragon pirates would never be so rampant under his nose. Smoker also had the idea of going to the Grand Line at this moment. As for whether the superiors agree with him to go, that is a matter for the superiors. If he was so obedient, how could he be just a colonel? At this time, raindrops suddenly fell from the sky and began to grow larger. There was a sudden exclamation on the pier. It's actually raining heavily. There were no dark clouds just now. That little girl is amazing. Oh my God, the time is exactly 5 minutes, what kind of talent is this? Compared with talent, I believe it's raining from her magic. How can anyone have such a pervert talent? At this moment, the sky is exactly as Nami said before, and it is pouring rain. The scattered and dense raindrops even covered the world with a layer of tulle, and it was already difficult to see the appearance of people just 5 or 6 meters away. One can imagine how heavy the rain was. Hiss, it's really accurate. You are too good. Tashigi raised his arms above his head to shield himself from the rain while looking at Nami in shock and exclaimed. Even Marine's excellent navigators who have undergone systematic learning cannot predict the weather as accurately as Nami. Smoker couldn't help but glance sideways at the little girl who sneaked over. Of course, he also saw the disturbance made by this little girl at the port. However, like everyone else, he thought it was just a trick to attract Bai Han. However, he didn't expect the little girl in front of him to be right. What kind of heaven-defying talent is this? If the ceiling of combat power in this world is 4 emperors and admiral. Well, this little girl's navigator talent probably has the capital to become the 4 emperors and admiral in the navigator field. If it weren't for the little girl in front of her who wanted to be Bai Han's person. He even wanted to open his mouth to include it in the marine camp. If anyone can have such an excellent navigator on board, then when sailing at sea in the future, there is no need to worry about the weather at all. You know, even if it is as strong as Admiral and 4 emperors, it is not enough to look at among those real natural disasters. The most typical example is Golden Lion Shiki, the pirate admiral who once dominated the sea. Obviously, the One Piece King Roger has been driven to a dead end, and Roger is about to be taken away. As a result, a sudden tsunami directly took away Golden Lion Shiki's flying pirates. It can be seen how insignificant manpower is in the face of those real natural disasters. If Golden Lion Shiki has a navigator who is strong enough, maybe everything will be rewritten. And Bai Han also looked at Nami in shock. Although he knew that Nami's talent must not be simple, but he did not expect to be heaven-defying to such an extent. This is the weather radar is perfect. Such an accurate prediction of the weather 5 minutes later. Even the weather forecast is not so accurate. Moreover, Nami also predicted that after half an hour, the rain will disappear. If this is also correct, then he really has to wonder if Nami is a humanoid self-propelled weather radar. At this moment, although everyone around was amazed at him, Nami was not as excited as he imagined before. Her eyes were fixed on Bai Han, and she said with firmness in her eyes, "Mr. East Blue Shira, please let me board your ship. You are being targeted by that terrible opponent for my hometown. I want to do something for you anyway. You have seen my talent as a navigator, let me be your navigator. This will make it easier for you to chase those pirates." Originally, she had already planned to give up killing the dragon gang. Because she couldn't afford to mess with the 7 warlords of the sea, it was Bai Han who gave her hope again. Therefore, even if boarding Bai Han's ship is very dangerous, there is even the possibility of death at any time. However, Nami still wants to follow Bai Han. This determination moved even Smoker and Tashigi. Holding the knife, Tashigi looked at Bai Han cautiously and said, "Master, why don't you take her with you? She should be able to help you a lot with her talent." She had heard that when her master entered the port, there was quite a commotion. A ship lingered in the port for more than half an hour before successfully driving the 3-masted sailing ship that snatched the spoils of war into the port. If it weren't for the flag of East Blue Shira hanging on the ship, those businessmen and civilians who want to enter the port have long been impatient. If there is a navigator in command, all this will be much easier. Even Smoker also persuaded. "I advise you not to be ignorant of good and bad, such a talented navigator is rare. If you really don't want it, then I will take it back to Marine." This kind of powerful navigator talent, even Admiral can't help but grab it. At least he has never seen any navigator in Marine who can be so pervert. Don't think this is just predicting the time of heavy rain. But now it's on shore. If it were in the sea, it would not be as calm as it is now. If there is a navigator who can predict the weather in advance, let them prepare in advance. Then, no matter how big the storm is, you won't be caught off guard, and you can even avoid the storm directly. Bai Han was obviously also in hesitation, and Nami's powerful talent refreshed his three views. If he can have Nami as his navigator, he will indeed be able to relax a lot in the future journey. It's just the character of social fear that made him fall into entanglement. In fact, Bai Han also wants to get rid of his social fear. But there has been no effect so far, and he is so irritated when he comes into contact with people. He knows that this is wrong and will affect many aspects, but he really can't change it. Forget it, let's change it from now on. Bai Han pondered in his heart and murmured. When watching One Piece in his previous life, he actually liked the character Nami quite a lot. Strong, kind, and a little eccentric. Nami can be said to satisfy most people's illusions about their first love girlfriend. More importantly, he really lacks a navigator. The Grand Line is different from East Blue, which is at best the normal climate level of Blue Star. However, the weather on the Grand Line is different. It may be windy and rainy one second, and the sun will be scorching the next. One second it was still raining in Hefeng, and the next second it was snowing heavily. In such an environment, without the guidance of a navigator, accidents are prone to occur. Although Bai Han can walk on water with chakra, but he can't keep running on the water. As for whether accepting Nami would have any impact on the plot, Bai Han didn't care at all. The Creek pirates were wiped out in advance by him, and the Dragon pirates will be wiped out by him soon, and the plot has already gone berserk. There is no need for plot at all. Moreover, making Nami a pirate is a tragedy in itself. Nami's adoptive mother, Belle Mel, was once a marine, and then died in the hands of a pirate who was a pirate in order to protect her. Nami should be said to be the person who hates pirates the most. Plus Nami likes Barry's character again. Now, following him and becoming a bounty hunter to hunt down pirates may be the best result for Nami. Yes, but if you want to be my crew member, you must have certain strength. So I will give you special training in the future until I think you have the ability to protect yourself. Bai Han looked down at Nami and said in a deep voice. He has already begun to designate a corresponding training plan for Nami in his mind. Nami in the original plot relies too much on external forces to enhance his combat power. Completely ignore the importance of your own body. If it weren't for Wang Luffy's aura of the protagonist to make himself do crazy sit-ups, he would have died countless times. Now that Nami joins him, without the protection of the protagonist's halo, who knows if he can still do sit-ups. Therefore, it is very necessary to improve one's own personal strength. At least he can't be manipulated casually by the enemy and become his weakness. And Bai Han's words were exactly what Nami wanted. She immediately became excited and shouted, "Yeah! Please drill me as much as you want." Bai Han, smoker. These slightly ambiguous words caused the two big men to fall into silence. At the same time, Smoker was also thinking seriously, if Bai Han really attacked a little girl who looked only 14 or 15 years old. When the time comes, it's better to stand below and watch, or go up to execute the execution in person. However, Tashigi, who is not very old in the same grade and has a relatively simple mind, didn't think so much. It's such a blessing to be able to practice with Master. Tashigi looked at Nami with envy and blessing, and murmured in his heart. What an honor it is to be able to practice alongside Master. She just learned it for 3 days, and she can clearly feel the huge improvement in her swordsmanship. Even if it goes on for a long time, he will completely integrate the swordsmanship taught by his master into his own instinct. Then, her swordsmanship and all aspects of combat ability can be further improved. In the future, she can completely form a set of swordsmanship styles that belong to her alone. Even if she steps into the sword hero realm as a woman in the future, it will not be difficult. This is only what she has gained in the past 3 days, but the little girl in front of her can always practice with her master. One can imagine how lucky she is. I'm afraid that when we meet next time, I will be surpassed by this little girl. It's a pity that as a marine, she has her own responsibilities. Otherwise, she really wants to practice by master's side all the time. Of course, these are just Tashigi's deepest thoughts, and outsiders don't know about it. After the two sides briefly introduced themselves, Baihan asked Nami to pack up his luggage, and was ready to go to Zumaida Island to deal with the dragon pirates. Instead, he and Smoker continued to chat in the port. It seems that you have made up your mind. Smoker relighted his cigar and asked after taking a puff. Well, the dragon pirates are also the most powerful pirates in East Blue. After finishing them off, I'm going to the Grand Line. Baihan nodded and said, do things from the beginning to the end. Since you are leaving East Blue, how can you not pick the strongest boss? Even the current dragon pirates are no longer a threat in his eyes. This time, I will go with you to Zumaida Island. When the time comes to solve the credit of the dragon pirates, Laozi will accept it without hesitation. I will give you another bounty. After being a colonel for so many years, Laozi should be promoted. Smoker took a sip of the beer in his glass, then took a long puff of his cigar, and said in a low voice amidst the smoke. These words shocked Baihan, and he looked at Smoker with complicated eyes. He didn't expect Smoker to do this for him. This made Baihan's heart a little hot. He recognized Smoker as a friend. This is his first friend after coming to Pirate World. It seems as though Smoker wants credit for the dragon pirates. But in fact, Smoker is tantamount to taking the hatred of killing the dragon pirates on himself. Although Smoker is backed by Marine and is also a key training object of Marine, he will definitely be strongly protected by Marine. But to offend a 7 warlords of the sea so openly is not a conscious choice. What's more, there is also a legendary pirate of the previous generation, Pluton Rayleigh. Smoker's surname is not Monkey, so he can't bear the cause and effect of this incident at all. Jinbei may not dare to do anything to Smoker because of the Fishmen Island. But Pluton Rayleigh is not afraid of Smoker, nor is he afraid of Marine. I appreciate your kindness, but let's forget about it. Baihan turned his head to look at Smoker, and flatly rejected Smoker's offer. Hey, do you fool look down on Laozi? Smoker suddenly flew into a rage, and after smashing the wine glass heavily on the table, he turned his head to look at Baihan angrily. However, what imprinted in his eyes was a pair of scarlet eyes with 3 tomo, full of evil and cold power. The next moment, the 3 tomo in the scarlet eyes spun rapidly. Smoker's consciousness instantly became chaotic, and he began to gradually become drowsy. However, before his consciousness sank, Baihan sighed in his ear, after you become admiral, you should say this again. Smoker. You. Baihan looked at Smoker who was being manipulated by him and fell asleep on the table, drank the wine in the glass in one gulp, then got up silently and walked out of the tavern. The town of Rog is still quite safe, and Smoker doesn't need to worry about being in danger while staying here. Also, when he was using illusion on Smoker, it also gives the setting that the illusion will be automatically released when it is in crisis, and the elementalization will be activated actively. Even if there are pirates who are not afraid of death to attack Smoker, nothing will happen to Smoker. However, Baihan, who was walking on the road, was also secretly using illusion to control Smoker's consumption. He actually lost almost a quarter of chakra to control Smoker when Smoker was unprepared. If it is in the middle of a battle, use the Sharingan illusion when Smoker's mood fluctuates violently. He might have to pay a third of chakra to interfere with Smoker's actions. This world is really full of monsters. Can my illusion still work against those monsters who have mastered the Conqueror's Haki? Baihan couldn't help feeling a little more dignified in his heart. At least relying on 3 tomo Sharingan is obviously not enough. If you want to use illusion to interfere with those Conqueror's Haki owners, you must at least have the pupil power of Mangekyo Sharingan. And facing the owner of Conqueror's Haki at the level of 4 emperors. Even the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan may not necessarily work. But these were minor problems, and Baihan didn't take them too seriously. After all, illusion is only one of his means, not all of his means. Once the Mangekyo Sharingan is activated, presumably his Indra bloodline will also awaken, and his strength will be greatly improved. At that time, he could drive Gundam and the enemy hard steel. Coupled with the iron-slashing meaning of the pirate world that he accidentally comprehended, how terrifying power Susanoo can exert, even Baihan himself doesn't know. But it can be expected that it will definitely be more pervert than Madara in the original work at the same time. Especially in One Piece world, there is such a thing as Conqueror's Haki. Once put a layer of armament Haki on the full-body Susanoo. Then put a layer of Conqueror's Haki on Susanoo's weapon. I'm afraid that Big Mom and Kaido, who have the top defense in this world, dare not take this knife. And 3 hours after Bai Han left, Tashigi found the tavern where Smoker and Bai Han had been drinking before. Then, in the tavern, I found Smoker who was, drunk, lying on the table. Tashigi immediately covered his forehead in distress, walked towards Smoker, and at the same time said helplessly, "Really, Colonel Smoker, why are you drunk here? Master's boat has already left." Tashigi walked up to Smoker and patted Smoker on the shoulder trying to wake him up. However, her slap had only just landed on Smoker's shoulder. Where Smoker was shot, it turned into a puff of smoke, making Tashigi shoot nothing. This sudden turn of events also surprised Tashigi. What surprised Tashigi even more, however, was Smoker's reaction afterwards. I saw Smoker stood up from his seat with a slight swipe, with an unusually ferocious expression on his face, and at the same time he yelled, "Bai Han, you fool! What's wrong, Colonel Smoker?" Tashigi asked with some panic. How did my master offend my own official? Wouldn't it be too good for her to do something to her own official? At this moment, Tashigi's exclamation made Smoker also react. That Bai Han might have already left. Thinking of this, Smoker sat down again with a gloomy face, and at the same time said to Tashigi, "Kaido, it's nothing, has Bai Han left?" "Well, just half an hour ago, Master's boat had already set out to sea, should we follow?" Tashigi nodded, tilted his head and looked at Smoker with strange eyes and replied, "I don't know how my master offended Colonel Smoker. It looks like Colonel Smoker is very angry." However, Tashigi wisely did not choose to ask his superiors. It's better not to do such a painful thing. Forget it, don't follow. Smoker shook his head and refused. Since Bai Han didn't let him follow, he obviously had his own considerations. Everyone is an adult, and it is not good for him to interfere with Bai Han's decision. However, Smoker, who was sitting down at the moment, was not at peace. On the one hand, he was shocked by Bai Han's strange ability, and on the other hand, he was annoyed that Bai Han thought he couldn't stand Smoker. Just a 7 warlords of the sea. He is the 3rd chief graduate of the elite marine elite students. The 4th place in marine is Logia Demon Fruit Power, the future admiral with admiral's capital. Why can't I stand it anymore? Could it be that old man Jinbei still dares to do something to him? If he really wants to do something to him, the future admiral who has admiral's capital, Jinbei will not even think about living. Even the Fishman Island will be implicated. It's just that Smoker naturally doesn't know that what Bai Han is worried about is actually Pluton Rayleigh. Pluton Rayleigh doesn't have Jinbei's worries. Maybe I just free-handed to East Blue to tear Smoker apart. However, after Smoker calmed down, he began to recall Bai Han's eyes before. He just thought that Bai Han's eyes were very special. But in this world, weird races are everywhere, so he didn't pay much attention to them. After all, compared to the 3-eyed family with 3 eyes, the long-handed family with 3 arms, Bai Han who just has more things in his pupils seems quite normal. But after what happened before, Smoker found that those eyes were not as simple as he thought. It was just a look, and his consciousness sank directly to the past. The power contained in these eyes is indeed a bit terrifying. If Bai Han wanted to do something to him at that time, he didn't even have the ability to resist. Although there are some reasons why he was not prepared. But even so, these eyes are scary enough. And, more importantly, Smoker is not sure if he really won't be affected by those eyes even if he is strictly on guard. What a pair of strange and bewitching eyes. It seems that Bai Han also has his own secret. Smoker murmured inwardly. But these are not important. What is important is that Bai Han is on the side of justice, and that is enough. At this moment, Bai Han has left the port of Rogtown and is heading towards Zume-da Island. Finally felt the benefits of having an excellent navigator. Under Nami's command, the 3-masted sailing ship showed its full capabilities directly. All the way is simply rushing forward. Compared with when he was driving the boat by himself before, the speed was more than a little bit faster. No wonder navigators are indispensable on every ship, this help is really great. Bai Han couldn't help sighing in his heart. If Nami had been on board before him, the time spent on the road would have been reduced by at least half. The current strength may have to be doubled. Moreover, he is much more relaxed now, basically he only needs to control the sail. For Bai Han, this matter is completely easy to do. It can only be said that body flicker technique plus chakra walking is really easy to use. After Nami stabilized the course of the ship, Bai Han came to Nami and said in a deep voice, "Next, I will teach you a special cultivation method. You should practice this special cultivation method for 3 hours first. Then I will train you physically." With that said, he imparted to Nami the Uchiha flow chakra extraction technique he had acquired earlier. He had already asked the system before. People in One Piece world can also cultivate chakra through this chakra extraction technique. Because this chakra extraction is a product of system improvement. Chakra energy can be extracted from the cells simply by merging physical energy and spiritual energy. Body energy is easy to understand. Personal constitution is strong, and the body energy is naturally abundant. Like One Piece world, where the per capita blood is bullish, the personal constitution is very powerful. In addition, the food in this world contains rich nutrition, at least dozens or even hundreds of times that of Bai Han's previous life. This even led to the crazy sit-ups of the blood cows in the pirate world. Even the strong in the world of pirates specially invented a special physical technique that quickly digests food, thus having the effect of returning blood and mana similar to a large blood bottle. So, in terms of physical energy, Bai Han is not too worried about Nami. Even if Nami is just a woman, judging from Nami's performance in the original plot, Nami's constitution is absolutely awesome. The only thing Bai Han is worried about is Nami's spiritual energy, which will determine the upper limit of Nami chakra. If you want to truly have the capital to gain a foothold in this world, you must have at least cage level strength. The prerequisite for cage level strength is to have at least quasi cage level chakra. If Nami's spiritual energy cannot reach this point, then Nami will not be able to go far on the road of chakra. If this is the case, then we can only consider starting from the abilities of One Piece world. For example, swordsmanship, or the power of devil fruit. As for physical skills, Bai Han is not very optimistic about Nami. A person with strong physical skills basically has a monster-like constitution, and such a person will show his own differences since he was a child. For example, when Big Mom was 5 years old, he slapped the elder of the Titan tribe to death. When Garp was 7 years old, he chased a tiger the size of a 2-story building. These are the characteristics that those with strong physical skills possessed when they were young. Nami, who has been weak since she was a child, does not seem to have the talent of a strong gymnast. While Bai Han's mind was racing with thoughts, Nami also started his own practice both excitedly and curiously. The process of extracting chakra is actually not particularly difficult. This is generally something that those little carrot heads in Ninja Academy who are only 6 or 7 years old learn. Let Nami study at this moment, naturally there will be no problems. In addition, this is the chakra extraction technique that the Uchiha family has passed down for thousands of years. Therefore, Nami did not spend too much time to complete the first step of chakra extraction, and condense the first ray of chakra in his body. This special power inevitably made Nami excited. He even opened his eyes excitedly, wanting to see what this so-called chakra is. But alas, Nami, who merely condenses a wisp of chakra, cannot even release it. Don't get distracted, keep extracting chakra. Bai Han, who was thinking about something, glanced at Nami with folded arms, and said lightly. Under the gaze of Sharingan, there is already a ray of blue energy in Nami's body, which is exactly chakra. However, the thickness of this wisp of chakra surprised Bai Han. People in One Piece world really have a different constitution. According to the introduction in the Uchiha flow chakra extraction, normal people extract chakra for the first time, at most it is only as thick as chopsticks. But the ray of chakra in Nami's body at the moment is almost as thick as the little finger. Although this may have something to do with those who extracted chakra for the first time, they were all young children of the Uchiha family. But it can also be seen that the Nami constitution is exaggerated. However, body energy only determines the lower limit of chakra. At best it allows Nami chakra to recover much faster than ordinary people. What really determines the amount of chakra is Nami's spiritual energy. If Nami's own spiritual energy is not much, then Nami doesn't have much hope on the road of ninjutsu. Sorry, I'm going to continue extracting chakra now. Nami stuck out her tongue cutely, and then concentrated on extracting chakra again. After Bai Han took a look, he also sat not far away, put the third-generation Gush and Shizu on his knees, and began to quietly feel the breathing of everything that appeared before. This is the practice method of swordsmen in this world, which is the so-called saber zen. Compared with swordsman is not necessarily much stronger in swordsmanship. There are many swordsmen who are even inferior to some powerful swordsmen. However, the swordsman has comprehended a special will, so that he fundamentally crushes the swordsman. This kind of meaning of cutting iron does not make any sense at all. Once you understand it, even splitting steel is a breeze. At this moment, swordsmanship doesn't seem to be that important anymore. Of course, this is only relative. If both parties are in the realm of swordsmen, they all understand the meaning of cutting iron. Then at this time, the competition between the two sides will return to the competition of swordsmanship. The training time passed quickly, and after 3 hours, Bai Han, who seemed to have a clock hidden in his body, opened his eyes first. Seeing that Nami was still extracting chakra, Bai Han stood up and interrupted her. Under Nami's bewildered eyes, Bai Han said in a deep voice, "Okay, let's stop here for today's chakra extraction, and then we will have physical training." Extracting chakra is ultimately squeezing the energy of the cells in the body. If it is carried out for too long a day, it is easy to cause irreversible damage to the cells. This is especially true for novices. This is something that will greatly reduce the lifespan, and Bai Han will naturally not watch Nami make mistakes. "Is it 3 hours so soon?" Nami murmured incredulously. The energy in her lower abdomen gave her a very strange feeling. Although these energies are still very scarce, it makes Nami clearly feel that he has become stronger. This filled Nami, who was desperate for strength, with a sense of satisfaction. At the same time, I look forward to Bai Han's training even more. She also hopes to become the kind of super strong who can 1v5. Next, you can run 500 laps around this ship first. After running, I will arrange follow-up training tasks. Bai Han arranged for Nami without mercy. The 3-masted sailing ship of the beast pirates he snatched must be at least 200 meters long. 100 laps is 50,000 meters. Bai Han felt that this amount should be enough as the beginning of Nami's training. Just let him touch Nami's foundation and see how far the follow-up training should go. 500 laps. Nami glanced at the length of the bark and couldn't help swallowing. I don't know if she can hold on. However, Nami did not mean to complain to Bai Han, but ran around the 3-masted sailboat with both legs. This is only the first day of training. If she can't even bear this bit of hardship, how can she become stronger? Nami's initiative made Bai Han's eyes somewhat satisfied. But just don't know how long Nami can last. After running 50,000 meters, Nami will definitely not be able to persist. Bai Han didn't expect Nami to finish the race in one go. Not to mention a little girl like Nami, even some well-trained elite marine soldiers may not be able to persist with this kind of exercise. Even though Nami's constitution is completely different from those of the little girls in his previous life, it still belongs to the kind of blood cow constitution that can do sit-ups. However, 50,000 meters is still too much. What he wants to see this time is just the upper limit of Nami's constitution. As for running waste, that's basically impossible. With the presence of chakra, Nami's recovery ability will be greatly improved. Coupled with the constitution of Pirate World and the terrifying nutrients rich in food, there is basically no need to worry about this kind of problem. Instead of continuing to look at Nami, Bai Han continued to practice sword meditation, feeling the sound of all things breathing. He seemed to have caught the inspiration from last time. If you continue to persevere, you should be able to enter the previous state again. And if he can freely enter the state of listening to the breathing of all things, it means that he has completely established himself in the realm of swordsman. Next, work hard in the direction of cutting out the sword energy. On the other hand, Smoker returned to his office in Marine Base, Rog Town. After thinking for a moment, he decided to report the matter of Bai Han. On the one hand, killing the dragon pirates is no small matter, and no matter what, it is necessary to notify the marine side to respond. Just in case Jinbei, who is 7 warlords of the sea, really does something, Marine is in a hurry. On the other hand, he still doesn't want anything to happen to Bai Han. Therefore, by reporting this matter, see if there is any good way for the Marine executives to keep Bai Han. Hexia Jinbei. His strength is really terrifying. In the midst of the sea, Hexia Jinbei is no less threatening than an admiral. Porp porp porp, porp porp porp. The phone bug on the desktop simulates a ringtone with its mouth. Smoker, on the other hand, fell into deep thought, thinking about how to report this matter. After a while, the phone bug stopped talking and turned into a seagull hat and whip beard. The person opposite is Marine Admiral Sengoku, one of the most powerful men in the world, and also a big man who rules the entire Marine. In the past, Garp was responsible for catching Roger. And Sengoku is responsible for arresting Whitebeard, who is known as the most powerful man in the world. It is conceivable how powerful Sengoku is. Regardless of personal strength or influence, this is a powerful figure who is truly capable of stirring up the sea. However, at this moment, the strong man's tone was full of disgust, as if he met someone he didn't want to meet, but he just couldn't avoid it. It's Smoker, do you need me for anything? The Sengoku-like phone bug communicated. Hey, Marshal Sengoku, you don't have to reject me like that, do you? Smoker frowned in displeasure. This boss, what tone is this? Just by hearing the tone, he could already imagine the old man's disgusting expression on his face. Can my majestic Marine Marshal squeeze you out as a little colonel? Well, what do you want from me, kid? I'll hang up if there's nothing to do. Sengoku made no effort to hide his distaste. For this kind of subordinate who always disobeyed orders and made a lot of things for him, he felt a headache even just listening to the voice. But Smoker's talent is good, and he has the potential to become a Marine Admiral, which is the most annoying thing. Hateful. Smoker clenched his fists. If he could, he would have punched that old man in Sengoku in the face. However, thinking about Bai Han, he suppressed his temper and said patiently, Marshal Sengoku, you should know Bai Han, right? It's the bounty hunter named East Blue Shira. Seeing Smoker bring up business, Sengoku also became serious. East Blue Shira, is it the one who wiped out the Creek pirates alone? I have a little impression, what's the matter? Sengoku asked. As for that East Blue Shira, his senses are quite good. Although I couldn't find out the specific origin of that East Blue Shira. But what the other party did in East Blue made him unable to feel disgusted. Such a bounty hunter who only targets pirates and never harass ordinary civilians is hard to find with a lantern. If all the bounty hunters could make him feel at ease in this way, the bounty hunters would not fail to develop, and even be hated by both Marine and pirates. Although the other party does not belong to their Marine camp, since they are all doing justice, they are like-minded partners. His next target is the Dragon Pirates. Smoker's voice came through the phone bug. Sengoku, who was still thinking about Bai Han, widened his eyes and exclaimed, what? Did you tell him about 7 warlords of the sea? How could Marine not pay attention to the Dragon Pirates, who were personally protected by 7 warlords of the sea Jinbei? He, the Marine Marshal, also knows very well about the establishment of the Dragon Paradise by the Dragon Pirates on Zumaida Island. However, he knows what he knows, but he can't do anything to the Dragon Pirates. Just because the other party has something to do with that shit 7 warlords of the sea. And the 7 warlords of the sea are joint FA high thieves personally appointed by the world government, who have the right to legally plunder and form their own territories. Although the Dragon Pirates are not Hexia Jinbei's pirates. But in the eyes of everyone, there is no difference between the Dragon Pirates and the pirates commanded by Jinbei. Therefore, he, the Marine Marshal, can only let the Dragon Pirates build the Dragon Paradise in East Blue. Even if the evil dragon threatens the entire island, and even the safety of the civilians on the surrounding islands. Even if the dragon killed a Marine Division Commodore and hundreds of soldiers, he still couldn't do it. That said, he still wants to do it, and he has already set off. Smoker's voice sounded from the phone bug again. This time, it caused a storm in Sengoku's heart. Knowing that the 7 warlords of the sea are standing behind the Dragon Pirates, you still choose to eradicate the Dragon Pirates without hesitation. The justice behind such an existence is no worse than that of the Marine Marshal. Sengoku couldn't help but feel that I am not alone in my way. This kind of righteous person must not just die like this. A resolute voice sounded in the marshal's office. However, Sengoku was momentarily stunned. Because this voice was not made by him. Sengoku looked up at the person coming. A square-faced man with a serious expression in a red suit and a marine cap walked into the office. Because of this man's entry, the air in the office seemed to have become a little hotter, with a hint of sulfur in it. The person who came was one of the current Marine 3 admirals, Akainu Admiral Sakazuki, Logia Devil Fruit Lava Fruit ability user. A man who pursues absolute justice and thinks all pirates deserve to die. Allah, if it's by Han brother, I have no objection. Compared to allowing pirates to obtain such great privileges, it may be a good choice to let a person who bears justice become 7 warlords of the sea. Behind Akainu, a somewhat lazy voice came. Then a curly-haired man in a white vest with a blindfold on his forehead also walked into Sengoku's office with Akainu. This person is also Aokiji Admiral Kuzan, one of the current Marine 3 admirals, and a Logia Devil Fruit frozen fruit capable user. A man who once pursued bloody justice has become lazy justice. Within digging, young people nowadays are really as powerful as monsters, they don't even pay attention to 7 warlords of the sea. Behind Kuzan, a man wearing a yellow striped suit with a wretched face, who looked like a kindergarten principal also walked into the office and said. The guest is Kizaru Admiral Pelusalino among the current 3 admirals, and a user with Logia Devil Fruit sparkling fruit abilities. This is a man who believes in ambiguous justice and was once considered an undercover existence. All 3 of them are among the top combat forces in the world. It is also the capital that Marine can deter the world and even fight against the 4 emperors. PFF ha ha ha, you are a pretty good brat, you dare to challenge 7 warlords of the sea directly, it seems that East Blue is going to have another incredible guy. Behind Admiral Kizaru, an old man in a white suit with gray hair walked in with a booger and a big laugh. This person is exactly Marine's background, a strong man who can be as famous as Sengoku, Marine Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp. As a Marine hero, Garp has a very high status in Marine. Among Marine, it is second only to Sengoku. In terms of combat power, the existence that can head-to-head with One Piece Roger is also the existence of the ceiling of the pirate world. It is precisely because of Sengoku and Garp that Marine can still occupy the overlord position in the current era of great pirates ruled by the 4 emperors. If the 4 emperors didn't all gather together, it wouldn't even be enough for Marine to fight. But it's a pity that there are so many places that Marine needs to worry about, so that the power is very scattered. In addition, in order to protect the celestial dragons on the red line behind, an admiral must sit in Marineford all year round. So much so that Marine has no spare energy to break into the new world. What a troublesome child, but this is the young man. An old woman in a blue shirt came in after Garp. This person is Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Crane, Chief of Staff of Marine. Crane Vice Admiral may not be strong in battle, but she has a very good brain. Many of Marine's plans are prepared and designed by her. So far, all the senior management of Marine have gathered here. It turns out that you guys are here. It just so happens that you guys also talk about how to deal with this Bai-Han matter. Sengoku leaned back in his chair and handed over the problem. Although he wants to keep this partner who bears the same justice as him. However, the other party is not from Marine after all, even if he also upholds the justice in his heart, it is still an uncertain factor. So, Sengoku isn't very good at making decisions either. HMPH, didn't I say it, just let him become 7 warlords of the sea. 7 warlords of the sea must not attack each other, otherwise it will be regarded as giving up the identity of 7 warlords of the sea. Jinbei knows what he should do. Akainu sat on his seat with his arms folded, and said with a cold snort. That's right, Brother Bai-Han is indeed a good choice for Shichibukai. Aokiji yawned and pulled his blindfold subconsciously. But thinking of the current situation, in order not to anger his own marshal, he still gave up this move. Crane Vice Admiral also nodded, and said with a smile, that is indeed a good boy. Although the methods were bloody, it may be that the pirates left him with some bad childhood, but the other party is still on the side of justice after all. I agree with him to be the last 7 warlords of the sea. Vice Admiral, the head of the intelligence department, knows more about Bai-Han than anyone else present here. According to the analysis and judgment of the intelligence department, this is a person who hates evil, but has his own moral bottom line. Even in the process of hunting those pirates, it will definitely avoid harming civilians or destroying houses as much as possible. Where's an old like Garp who doesn't care about anything once the fight starts? I can't wait for the sky to fall apart. Every year the Marine spends an enormous amount of money to compensate civilians whose homes were destroyed by the aftermath of the Garp battle. Kizaru, who was sitting next to Aokiji, looked at the crowd, scratched his head and pouted with a wretched smile. Since everyone agrees, then I agree. Otherwise, it seems that he is very out of gregarious. As for Garp, whether Bai Han will become 7 warlords of the sea, Garp has no idea. In fact, he's here to find the senbei that Sengoku secretly hid. At this moment, he was already rummaging through boxes in Sengoku's office, looking out of place with the others around him. Finally, Garp found the senbei hidden by Sengoku in the mezzanine of a cabinet, and immediately laughed proudly, "Ha ha ha, I found it." After saying that, Garp tore open the packaging bag and poured the senbei into his mouth. Don't give Sengoku a chance to react. Garp, you fool. Sengoku instantly turned into a Buddha, and a shock wave sent Garp flying. Boom! A big hole was blown out of the marshal's office in an instant. Garp also flew directly towards the distant port, and finally landed in the sea. Many marine generals were alarmed and rushed out to check the situation. But when they saw clearly that Garp flying in midair had entered the hole in the marshal's office, they immediately regained their composure and returned to their jobs. Obviously, such a scene is not once or twice, they have long been used to it. After venting a wave of anger, Sengoku sat down heavily on his seat, taking a breath of anger at himself. Then he said with a wry smile, "You guys are really going to cause me trouble. What the 7 warlords of the sea wants is a big pirate with enough reputation. He is a bounty hunter joining 7 warlords of the sea. How could the world government agree?" As soon as the words came out, Akainu immediately snorted and said, "The duty of the 7 warlords of the sea is to destroy pirates, and the duty of bounty hunters is also to destroy pirates. There is no difference here." Then, he went on to say, "What's more, this may stimulate those strong folks and let them see that even if they don't join the Marine or become a pirate, there is still a third way to go. The suppression of bounty hunters is indeed quite miserable. Of course, the main reason for this is that there are many bounty hunters who don't follow the rules. In addition to hunting pirates to earn bounties, they are often bandits who cover their faces. They can even rob civilians and belittle civilian women. Basically no different from pirates. In addition, once many bounty hunters found that they could not beat them, they immediately turned around and joined the pirate camp. As a result, the reputation of bounty hunters is getting worse and worse. But in fact, in the most glorious era of bounty hunters hundreds of years ago, bounty hunters were an honorable profession that would get thumbs up on the road. Moreover, the relationship with Marine is also very close. After all, Marine's energy is also very limited, and a lot of energy has been spent dealing with those top pirates. Where to go to deal with those pirates who are less than a threat? The emergence of bounty hunters has made up for this vacancy very well. That can be said to be the most comfortable era that civilians lived in. It's a pity that later, for some indescribable reasons, the bounty hunters suddenly disappeared, and even the bounty hunters that still exist have become filthy pickles. So much so that this industry has become more and more stinky, and even become another group of garbage on the sea. Akainu wanted to reproduce that scene. In this way, there will not be so many misfortunes in this world. Akainu is right. If Bai Han can become the benchmark for bounty hunters, I can have more time to sleep. Aokiji leaned lazily on the back of the chair, with his head raised as if he had no bones. If Marshal Sengoku doesn't mind, he wants to put on the blindfold and get some sleep. Alas, it seems that the work will not be so heavy. But it won't affect my salary, will it? Kizaru stroked his chin and thought seriously. Sengoku gritted his teeth, resisting the thought of sending the unreliable 2 people flying with a slap, and then said in a deep voice, "I'm afraid the resistance to this matter will be very high, and the key is that Bai Han hasn't done anything too much yet. Great fame, just the title of East Blue Shira, is not enough to become 7 warlords of the sea. Although East Blue has produced many strong players, it is also because Garp often goes home. It has become the safest sea area, and there are no strong people coming out of it. The pirates here are even called babies in the cradle, and they are looked down upon by pirates outside. Therefore, the prestige of Bai Han, the East Blue Shira, is obviously not enough to deter pirates. This is one of the reasons why Bai Han is not enough to be 7 warlords of the sea. As for the so-called Mara Mara fruit ability, ordinary people just listen to it. How could they, the top powerhouses, really believe it? There are too many moves in this world that can produce flames. In other words, if Garp punches with all his strength, it can also cause the effect of hitting flames. Bai Han can use flames, but it does not prove that Bai Han must be Mara Mara fruit. At least so far, Bai Han has not shown traces of elementalization. In other words, Bai Han is short of a reputation. Crane supported his chin with his old hands, and his eyes shone with wisdom. In this case, let him gain enough fame. Little Smoker, you go and tell this kid Bai Han to challenge 7 after he goes to the Grand Line. Clockadar, one of the warlords of the sea, doesn't need him to win, as long as he can draw. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the office was okay, but Smoker on the other end of the phone bug was shocked. Although Bai Han has strange abilities in his eyes, if he really fights, his strength may not even be as good as him. Even he is not sure that he can win against a veteran powerhouse like Lok Dal. What's more, Bai Han, isn't this asking Bai Han to die? Crane Vice Admiral, isn't this a little too risky? Once Bai Han really loses, Lok Dal's character will not give Bai Han a chance to survive. Smoker said anxiously. This is simply letting Bai Han step on Lok Dal's head. It would be a ghost if Lok Dal can agree. It doesn't matter, I will take Gion to watch the battle then. Lok Dal dare not give me face as an old woman. Also, I really want to meet the kid Bai Han. Crane Vice Admiral said with a kind smile. Gion is one of Admiral's naval headquarters candidates. She is very powerful in swordsmanship and is the strongest female swordsman in Marine. With Gion sitting in charge with her, Lok Dal didn't dare to mess around. Moreover, she also wanted to see whether Bai Han's fighting style was really so magical. Especially those eyes that made Smoker suffer a lot. She was curious how useful such eyes could be in battle. This time Smoker stopped talking, and he Vice Admiral made it clear that he wanted to stand for the Bai Han. With Suru Vice Admiral and Gion Vice Admiral watching from the sidelines, Lok Dal has to hold back even if he has a big temper. Thinking of this, Smoker didn't say anything more. And Bai Han didn't expect that he was actually arranged to become 7 warlords of the sea. Of course, even if he knew, he wouldn't refuse. The identity of 7 warlords of the sea should not be too convenient. In short, it can be summed up in one sentence. Imperial Power Franchise, beheaded before playing. As long as you don't do something that makes the world government sensitive, you can do whatever you want. Even the CP organization has to wait all the way to pass. Bai Han has absolutely no reason to refuse such a good benefit. As for things like world government lackeys, just listen to them. If you give these people 7 warlords of the sea, would they be willing to be? That's definitely one by one to catch up and work harder. Of course, at the moment Bai Han doesn't know the good news yet. East Blue, on a bark. Nami, who has run more than 300 laps, is struggling to drag his body like a zombie. Her eyes seemed to have been damaged by playing with them, and she was completely absent-minded. It's just that because of the will, the body is still holding on and not falling down. To be honest, Bai Han couldn't help being surprised by Nami's constitution. More than 300 laps is more than 30,000 meters. A distance of more than 30 kilometers. This physical strength is even comparable to those top marathon runners in the previous life. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.